vandalism. Yeah. And they are sawing off all the logs because it's bringing the bridge down.
Really?
Yeah.
That much weight?
Yeah, you should look it up.
I've seen pictures before, but I didn't know it was that heavy.
That's up.
Everett's got his American due.
Hmm?
He's got his American due.
I think we have everybody we're going to get, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 6 o'clock. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if the clerk would please take the roll.
Here.
Here.
Yes.
Here. Yes.
All right, clerk will note we have a quorum present with 6 members. Moving on to item number 2 on the agenda, the approval of the agenda. Anybody have any concerns with the agenda? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item 3 in the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, including minutes from our May meeting, licenses and permits, alcohol licenses, operators licenses, 2 special events, board, committee, commission, and agency reports, and vouchers payable and a budget summary. Anybody have any concerns to bring up on that?
The only one I messaged Carrie about was there's just a small typo in finance. Awesome.
Thank you. Seeing nothing else, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item 4 on the agenda is public input and ideas, limit 5 minutes per speaker. If anybody wishes to address the village board, now would be the time. Please come to the front podium, make sure the microphone is on, state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
So I'm Don Burrows. I'm not a resident of the village Osceola, but I do live outside Osceola. I am running for
The
sheriff.
mic on, Tom?
Yeah, it's on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I'm running for sheriff of Polk County. I've got 29 years of law enforcement experience, originally from Osceola, graduated high school from here, went off to college, went to Stout, graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology. The whole time in college, I worked in law enforcement. At Polk County, I've been a sergeant, investigator, and now I'm currently the chief deputy up there, the second in command. So I do all the budgeting, all the hiring, all the HR issues with the sheriff's office. So with the Sheriff Walk retiring, I just want to kind of keep the department moving in the right direction and make a few changes of mine, and that's about it. So I just wanted to come and introduce myself. I know most of you, so if there's any questions or anything, I'm around, so. Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Good luck, Don. Anyone else wish to address the board? Seeing no one else, we'll move on. Item 5 on the agenda is staff reports. First up is fire.
Hi, everybody. We had 8 runs total for the month, 5 in the village of Osceola, 3 in the town of Farmington. Run breakdown is 1 grass brush fire, 4 medical lift assists, and 3 alarms. Training for me was scene size up downtown. We went to a couple different buildings and pump operations. We did pressure testing and some hoses and loss of pressure on how many feet of hose you go out or string out. The one we did last night was elevator training. We were here in the village office, or village, and played with this one. And then we went to the high school because high school's a little older style. But we're trying to learn how to get into these elevators if somebody were to get stuck in before they get stuck in them. So, but that was it. Any questions?
Did you get stuck?
Where's the elevators in the school district?
Right in the band hallway where the band room is, just right there. It's
Goes
only a
up to the
two-story
mezzanine.
one,
It goes up to the mezzanine.
mezzanine,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
We
Okay.
have different buildings with elevators in now, and of course they're getting more and more and more. But lucky for us, we only have a couple of three-story ones, and a few two-story ones. So that's not too bad. We don't have any high-rise ones. Don't know if I want to play with those.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Next up, police.
How's it going?
Good, how are
Hey.
you?
Good. Yeah, we had a busy May. We compiled 96 incident reports, 4 traffic crash reports. Officers made 3 arrests, made 92 traffic stops, issued 43 citations. Our police administrative assistant processed 33 records for requests for background checks. And Officer Tremblay rounded out the school year with 6 school-related incidents in May. Bunch of notable incidents. Couple assist other agencies. We assisted St. Croix Falls with a search warrant at an area hotel, kind of a larger scale, multi-room. So a lot of personnel was needed for that operation. We also responded to an ATV rollover crash near Cedar Lake, Polk County's request. Several domestic disturbances in May, one of which involved a firearm. Police made an arrest for operating while intoxicated and are investigating a report of sexual assault. We investigated an identity theft complaint, took a report of an out-of-state missing person who was later located. And we went to a welfare check, discovered an elderly patient in need of medical attention who was later transported by ambulance. We were involved in 2 pursuits in May. First one, our officer attempted to stop a vehicle for speeding, but the motorist failed to stop for officer on Cascade Street, Highway 35. Pursued into north of St. Croix Falls following intervention by the St. Croix Falls Police Department, and the subject was ultimately arrested. The second pursuit, we received a notification on our flock cameras of a vehicle with a stolen status that was entering the village. Our officer turned around to confirm that status, and then upon doing so, the vehicle fled on the Highway 243 towards Minnesota, failing to stop at the stop sign, failing to yield for other motorists at that intersection. The officer pursued into Minnesota and was ultimately terminated the pursuit due to safety concerns with traffic. Part of pursuits is our officers balance the need to apprehend the vehicle versus the danger that the pursuit itself poses. And that particular one, the dangers outweighed the benefits. So, vehicle was later recovered, abandoned by Chisago County, though. Been very busy with investigations this month. We applied for multiple search warrants for various pieces of evidence. We're working on 5 felony cases, as it were, right now. So that's been taking a lot of our time off the street because our officers are busy investigating those and trying to bring those to conclusions. So it's been sucking up a lot of our time. Administrative wise, we had a tour for the Girl Scouts. They came in. I led the tour and kind of explained what police officers do day to day and the equipment that we have. They're awesome and gave us a bunch of Girl Scout cookies. So we're finally getting through those now. So starting to see an uptick in ordinance violations and complaints. So we're trying to handle those as best we can. However, priority scale are kind of lower when we got emergency calls and whatnot. But we are working with several property owners about trying to get them to abate the issues themselves versus having us to take any enforcement action. So we had a license issue with one of the local businesses following a change of ownership. It turns out that with that change of ownership, they never applied for their alcohol or tobacco license. So we did a partial shutdown on that business. So they're still open, but they're not allowed to sell any alcohol or tobacco until the new ownership applies for their license. So on that note, another business was reported to have sold tobacco products to a minor following Polk County Department of Health compliance checks, and they were cited for the violation. Department building news, we had an issue with a garage door opener, which made it a real pain in the butt because that's kind of where we store our cars and whatnot. But we managed to get through that, and thank you to Todd for getting us hooked up with a vendor who was able to repair that, and turned out to be a bad motherboard. So luckily, we didn't have to replace the whole unit. So. Otherwise, I met with the school district administration to discuss the SRO program, and long story short, they're very happy with it. We're happy with it, and we wish to continue it. This is the first year, so it's kind of a learning experience for both of us. But towards the end of the year, I think we found a good rhythm, good cadence, and Officer Tremblay has been great at engaging both the staff and students, and has shown that he's really taken this role seriously and kind of making it his own. And just want to give a shout out to him. So we're hoping that we can continue it into next year. Lastly, we posted our open police officer position, and we've begun to receive applications from candidates. Looked into the next academy cycle, and unfortunately, Northwood Tech is probably not going to have one until May of next year. CETC, according to their website, they host academies in August, January, and June. So because of the schedule, if we're not able to find someone that is ready to go, that's already certified, it's going to be a pretty good delay before we can get someone trained and on their own working in the village. So just an FYI on that. I maintain that we need to fill this open police officer position. The gaps in coverage, we've already seen several incidents that we did have an officer on that were pretty serious of nature. We had an impaired driver on Cascade Street, as well as a physical altercation in one of the local businesses where an individual was hurt. So, again, just want to try to maintain that 24 hours. So, any questions?
When you have a pursuit that goes over, do you contact the county, like Chisago County or Washington County or anything, depending on where it is? So that like they can follow pursuit or?
Yeah, absolutely. So our dispatch center at the Polk County Sheriff's Office, they usually try to establish a line with that county and give them information. And then generally once someone of that local jurisdiction is involved in the pursuit, our officer will back off and they'll take over from there.
Okay.
So. Any other questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, AJ. All right, next up, Public Works.
Evening, everybody.
Hi.
This is long, so I'll just touch on a few key points. But it was busy for half of the month. I think on the 18th, we had the 2 seasonals arrive, so we were staffed with 5 individuals. That was good, and we accomplished a lot, as you can see. The downtown ready for the summer. Flags, banners, flowers, you name it. Celebrated Arbor Day on May 29th. Went to planting of a Japanese lilac on 2nd Avenue. Installed 8,000 more pounds of asphalt in the potholes. So we're up to about 20,000 pounds to date. As we, I should say, I guess in the month of, as of May. We've already procured another 14,000 pounds, and we'll be installing that throughout June here. So traditionally, we're somewhere between 40 and 60,000 pounds of installed asphalt by hand. Street light repair continues. We're currently awaiting parts. We have ordered 4 new heads for our downtown lights. Flower ward watering program that began in May. We're currently watering 3 times a week the downtown flowers, and then all of our new trees, bushes, things like that that we've already installed in some areas. Gateway Meadows entrance has seen sort of a makeover. It's got some great new shrubs and evergreens installed as last week. So we have a considerable amount of time just in watering weekly. Of course, mowing consumes a considerable amount of time as well. Just an update, the monopole site has had primary electrical power bored through. There's some hiccups there. It took multiple attempts, but they had to bring in the big rig and we're finally able to make it through. So that's complete, and we're going to be awaiting the final sort of restoration of the site once the utilities are in there. Happy to inform everyone that the Mill Pond restroom has been opened. It's fully restored. Straight Line Builders did an excellent job in an inspection on that on Monday. Also followed up again Tuesday with sort of the finality in blowing insulation in the top of the building. So turned out really good. It's open for business, and I think people are very happy about that. Mulching of parks and playgrounds, putting a lot of effort into our parks and getting them ready by June 1st. Spraying, trimming of trees, over 12 inches plus of wood chips installed in all the playground areas, things like that. I think 22 dump truck loads, about almost 10 plus per site. Aside of that, so we have a number of projects going on, as everyone can see. Irrigation for our parks, we're also all online now. We reviewed all the schedules, reprogrammed everything, maintenance was performed. Everything's looking good and green, given the dry weather. Fallen tree removal and trail cleanup was conducted on our bluff and trails leading to the St. Croix River. We spent a number of days clearing downed trees, logs, spraying of weeds to public facilities and grounds. That took another, we do close to 100 acres of spraying in between some of the broadleaf weeds, and then we've already performed one service to the entirety of downtown, like where you see the sidewalks and buildings where you can see the weeds are like 6 inches tall, dying now as well. Fire extinguisher inspections, 100 extinguishers for buildings, cars, all facilities. So outside of that, I know there's more there, but do you have any questions for the month of May?
Busy month for you.
Very busy. Sure is good too, so far.
This isn't necessarily a May question, but can you remind me what we decided in the timeline for the park up in Gateway?
There's necessarily a timeline.
Okay.
It's definitely at the top of the list. Coming online with the additional staff and getting caught up with this transition and getting our current facilities and parks up to speed by June 1st. Played a key role. That's certainly at the top of my list as far as the organizations and getting the bidding process for the higher items. I think that's something we can certainly look forward to talking to probably next week. We can have a DPW committee meeting. I think we're scheduled for it.
Idle curiosity, not
Yeah.
a burning issue. But
We're saving a ton of money in cutting engineering fees and contractor costs. It's just going to take a little longer just because we're doing it internally. So, any other questions? Thank you.
Next up,
Thanks.
next up, utilities.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Hi, Rick.
So another busy month with just the two of us, but that's what
on,
it is
right?
right now. So we're working as time allows on fire flushing. We have a notice on the website. Our fire flow testing is due. We're getting some calls for fire flow testing where building sprinklers are actually designed from fire flows that are found in the main. We do those as we flush because we don't like to flush one-off hydrants, and so we'll actually do them internally with our own equipment and then document them. So when somebody calls in January and says, "Hey, do you have a fire flow for this?" We say, "Yes, we do," and not, "Hey, let's go fire flow a hydrant and let us blow off." It just doesn't. It works better the way we do it. So, Diggers Hotline tickets are super steadily flowing in. It seems to be the name of the game right now. We've been out just daily with thousands of feet of located for fiber lines. We're required to go out on the water line, sewer line, storm sewer, and electrical line that we have. It takes an astronomical amount of time sometimes to do that. Luckily, we've had some good weather. Today it was super hot. We've been out pretty much all day, every day, with locating and finding things and locating. So to touch on that a little bit more, as we're doing this, we're coming across some stuff that's missing in our GIS map. So it's like killing a bird with two birds with one stone, and being able to get out there and mark those too. So I found a couple of gate valves today that we didn't have on our map. So good to go on those. We found some interference on a influence sampler circuit, the pulse circuit that signals from the PLC to the sampler to initiate and say, "Hey, I've seen enough flow go by, take a sample." We just kind of happened to catch it one day, and we're like, "Hey, the screen came on. It's taking multiple samples in a row. That doesn't seem right." And kind of chased that down. And what we actually found was that even with that disconnected, the sampler would go. And so we found some straight voltage on some spare wires. We think it's all related. So I actually grabbed the signal off the influent flow meter. I remember that day I could do a pulse too, so I programmed that to work the sampler for now. Got an electrician scheduled to come out next week and take a look at that. Hopefully, you know, it's something that we want to get on top of now, so we don't find out we have more problems later. So we're just gonna chase that down now. Working on equipment upgrades and lease amendments with Devin for AT&T. Just chewing through those right now. Sure we'll see something in the future on those. All right. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Next up, library.
Good evening, everyone. So I've begun the process of digitizing this year's board packets. I'm scanning them into a flash drive as well as having them stored on a drive on the IFLIS server. And then I also worked with Win IT and should now receive a report at the end of the month with the number of times the public Wi-Fi is accessed in the building every month. And this is something we've needed because this is something we are supposed to be reporting on our annual report. So it's good that we'll have that now. In May, we circulated 3,420 items. We had 149 public computer uses. We had just over 1,600 ebook checkouts, and we had 26 new patrons. And then in our collections, we added 164 new items, and I continued weeding in May. In May, we slowed down our programming because we're busy trying to get ready for summer learning program, but we still held our usual slate of events, story time, Lego and chess clubs, lunch with the librarian, tech help, fiber friends, and the book discussion. And then I also took materials to Evergreen and Millside Apartments and Christian Community Home. Our staff has been really busy working on, and Michelle has done an extraordinary job getting together the summer learning program. It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of information out there for the kids. And then I just wanted to touch, Dee Barabee began offering tech help about a year ago. And it's one of those that has been slow to catch on, but her perseverance with it has really begun to play off as she regularly has people coming in on Monday afternoons for help with their devices. So that's a great thing. And as you can see, there are lots of upcoming events. Every Thursday in June and July, we have a summer learning program. This week it is Adopt a Dino. So the kids can come and adopt a dinosaur that will be their reading buddy for the summer. And there's crafts and other things to happen. A few other things that we'll be doing during that. There will be a program on archaeology. The theme of the program this year is Unearth This Story. And so a lot of stuff with dinosaurs. We're going to have a wild dialect come in and do a terrarium program with the kids in July. The Wisconsin Water Library is coming in July too, and they are doing a program on underwater archaeology in the Great Lakes. So we invite adults to come to these programs as well. So any questions? All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Ann.
Okay, next up, building inspection and administration.
We have two big building permits last month. One for the Raskus sewer one finally went through properly. It was deemed as another accessory structure, so there was a little reporting mishap with the building inspector, but that was righted. And then the D&K filed for their building permit. So there were two new commercial building permits that were issued in the last month, which is great to see for our community. Unfortunately, there are no new homes in the last month, but we're hoping to see some more new homes pop up here as in the next few years, as we should be getting something before you guys next month for an amendment to Chapter 215 of the zoning code, which is traditional neighborhood, to allow more homes in Gateway Meadow for the non-developed lots already. So that should be next month. We see more lots that might potentially be built out this year or next year. So there's a lot of growth happening in the village for building, and we're excited to see that. With that, the admin report is Just a quick update on the Cascade Falls project. In May, we did do a punch list walkthrough with MSA and Pember. They created the punch list items. It was deemed to be substantial complete, which means that they still have existing issues, but the stairs were accessible and done in the standard that was deemed appropriate by MSA. There were stuff that were pointed out and they're still working on. They have until June 15th for final completion. Once we have final completion, we're looking at doing some type of formal grand opening with village board members, working with the Explorer group, and kind of make it a big deal because this is quite the undertaking for public infrastructure for us. We had the River and 3rd Street pre-construction meeting last week. So that project will start here in sometime in July. It should wrap up before Labor Day, so it shouldn't have any impact on the parade that weekend or anything like that. So we should hopefully be done with that by then. If not, it will be off of Cascade. Cascade will be done and open fully with no issues before Labor Day weekend. So they're all aware of those items too, of the events that we have coming up in September. Economic development, I've been meeting with multiple businesses who are looking to move to Osceola. There potentially is some movement on the Polaris building. I'm hoping to have more news on that in the upcoming weeks. There's also a potential redevelopment of an existing building in Simmon Drive for a business that is also looking to move to Osceola. So that'd be nice if we can have two of our bigger buildings sold and bring new companies in. That'd roughly be about 120 jobs between the two businesses that if they came to Osceola. So I'm hoping to have more news that I can share with you guys here by next board meeting. And then D&K, as I said earlier, did start their construction of the commercial business. I met with Impact 7 today. They should be meeting in July with Planning Commission for a concept plan again. Things have changed due to financing, so they want to get the concept plan back before the Planning Commission in July, and we'd be looking for site plan approval sometime probably October, and then construction sometime in 27 for the Impact 7 project. Some issues of cost have significantly increased since when they were initially started, so there might be a little change to the plan that the Planning Commission will have some say on. Reaching out to Dan Hebert of GON, trying to figure out when that development is going to go through. Currently no update on that. Working with the WDC to get the grant funding done. The building's down. They're waiting on financing. That's what he keeps telling me. So there are some deadlines that they need to hit, or our TID agreement would be null and void if they're not at the deadlines. So they're under the pressure. That's the pressure for them, is if they don't meet the deadlines of the TID agreement is no more. So that is the pressure for them. We met with the Osceola and St. Croix Valley Railway to discuss incorporating additional local history into their train rides. They want information from the village and who should they reach out to. We're also meeting with them to better assist them with parking, as last year was such a big problem for parking for the Pumpkin Express and for their colored trains. So we're trying to make that operate a little more smoothly. The Ridge Road project's continuing. They poured sidewalk last week. They put the foundation for the trail up Old Ridge Road, and they're currently working on the street along where Ridge Road will now connect into it. All signage issues have been brought to their attention and should be fixed by now. Working with the Osceola Trails Group on a bog bridge around the Osceola Creek, we would be looking for an MOU with them in a future date as they'd be the ones constructing it. But the agreement is with the DNR agreements with the village for the access for the land, but they'd be the one building it. So we'd have an agreement with the Osceola Trails Group for that bog bridge, floating bog bridge. Anything else on my update that I have for you?
Can you just provide a little more detail on the deadlines in the TID agreement for the GON project? Because I share your antsiness about the development agreement and the incentive that the village has committed through the TID. And I just want to know what kind of a timeline we're working with, where they would be out of compliance and we'd be out of that.
So even if they don't finish, if they agreed to the minimum access value of the lot, it would still be accessible for us to work with them on that. The key point is we have to make sure that we're collecting enough increment to make their payments. So if they fail to meet the tax rate of what, I believe it was, had to be complete by the end of 27. I don't know the exact dates off my head, but there was a date in there where they had to be finished because because your taxes always lag a year behind. So you have to make sure you have the value in there that you're collecting. Because if it pushes out too far, we don't have enough increment collecting from their development to pay them full for what we agreed upon. So there is that in there. However, we did protect any of that with a minimum access value that starting on this date, you will be assessed this value for that lot. So even if we wish to continue with the development agreement, we do have some safeguards in there to prevent anything like that from happening. That's why we do a pay-go. There is no risk to the village on this. The only risk is to the developer, because if they don't perform, they don't get their incentive. And that's why we structure our TIDs to be pay-go. So they only get paid if they deliver on the product that they promised.
So if they build, let's say hypothetically, the deadline that we put in was the end of 2027, but they complete the building in 2029. In that scenario, would we be in negotiation with them to identify a new minimum assessed value at that point so that the TID floats? Or I guess I feel like the minimum assessed value, I understand, like you're going to build it by this date. That's going to make sure that the TID works for us. You could assess more, up to, good news for us.
I can speak to that
Yep,
if you
But
want.
if they're late,
If they're late, it's the date is as of the tax is due on this date, you have a minimum assessed value of X. So if they're willing to accept it on nothing built, they're still
so
paying the taxes.
we would put a minimum assessed value of $22 million on the empty lot.
Yep.
Is what we would do.
Yep, the Baird projections are currently positive. It's a positive cash flow.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the TID at 22 million. If they don't put a building on it, then they're gonna be paying taxes on a piece of land that is valued at $22 million.
Or else we just null and void the agreement and no building happens.
Right.
So there are some options, but once again, this is why we always recommend pay-go, not upfront TIDs. Because if we gave them $4 million incentive upfront, we'd be potentially out $4 million.
Yeah.
And this is why you always do the pay-go.
And I wasn't worried about like some uncovered exposure on our part. It wasn't clear to me, at the time we were doing it, we were contemplating that they were going to move quickly, and they're not. So I was just curious how that would wind down.
Didn't we have some exposure on 3rd and River Street?
We were taking some TID for that project, but we have borrowed enough to make sure that we have that for it. And there should be still enough growth within TID 3 to cover the portion. You just won't see a big as much of a lump sum at the end of the TID district as you normally would, because that money then is being used to use the loan payment instead of just collecting increment to do more projects within the TID.
Sure. I got a construction question on it. So as part of the raise order, they had an erosion control plan. Is that under our purview as part of a building or a raise permit?
No.
So if the silt fence fails and the shit starts washing down the hill, we don't have to, it's not us to
No,
say anything about it?
it's DNR enforcing on
The
the developer.
DNR and the National Scenic Riverway, yeah.
I didn't know if any of that fell on us or not. So, okay, good enough. I didn't ask.
I just wanted to go to.
I like the
It's
view,
sitting
to
right
be
there.
honest with you.
They can sit right there forever.
Yeah, I like the view. You can see all of Minnesota trees now.
Visually inconspicuous.
Yes.
Maybe they want to make it a park.
That would be wonderful. I'd love a $22 million park.
I hope they take care of it.
That'd be fantastic. You can pay taxes on a $22 million park. That'd be great.
We're not putting that park on Todd.
No. No.
Anybody have any questions for Devin? Great. All right. Thank you. Next up, explore Osceola Main Street.
Hello.
Cool.
All right, so a couple things. We had a ribbon cutting for Terrene Dermatology at OMC. I'm still learning, so I had updated my Explore board, but I didn't include you guys originally. So going forward, I'll be sure to get you on emails sooner. I know that they would love to have village representation at those. So that was really well done. Saturday, we obviously had Rhubarb Fest. It was a really good turnout. People want more rhubarb. So next year, we're going to go heavy on the rhubarb. A benches update. I've been working with Todd. We have a style selected, primarily most placements figured out, a couple more trash cans, possibly looking at getting 2 picnic tables that match what you've done at Cascade Falls to put on the deck as well. But I guess a question for you guys, or maybe Todd, do I need to go to a historic committee meeting to get that like approved? The
They
bid.
they
will have-
typically handle signage, so
Okay,
Historic Preservation Commission wouldn't be the governing body on that.
just didn't know who.
You talking about the platform, the old platform?
So that would be part of it, and then we're gonna replace all the benches downtown,
Got it.
so.
Might not be bad just to
Um,
incorporate them just to help in the decision process.
Okay,
I- I
yeah,
would think
maybe,
just
because
a-
they handle obstruction permits, so.
Would that just be Public Works though?
I can just talk to them about it
Benches.
and make it simple. It's nothing you would have to attend, just I'll get their okay.
Okay,
Just
I
send it
just need to
me.
know what on this end I need to do.
Todd
'Cause-
standardized on a bench and products at one point in a public works meeting. So you can't just randomly go to Walmart and pick something.
No, I worked with Todd. I got catalogs from him. We're all good.
Yeah, you're talking about the benches that were like stone on the sides and then
Wood
wooden.
slats and
wood
like,
slats, yeah.
there's like 3 that match downtown. So
Yeah.
this would be just 20 new benches that all look the
Sure.
same and
I'll just give the HPC an update on the bench progress.
Okay.
That's all I think would be
Okay.
sufficient.
wonderful. Otherwise, what's on our radar is kind of need to do some new branding for Explore to get people to understand what it is. And then as part of that, we are looking at doing a new map for downtown and an activity guide. And then also a community-wide volunteer database that we are looking at partnering possibly with the school district, with any other village entity. Volunteering is really hard in this community to get them. So if we had one central hub where all these organizations could go to, so that's what we're looking into there. Otherwise, that's what I'm working on right now. Any questions?
Do we have an Explore page on the village website yet?
Their current website is not updated yet.
Correct.
We'd probably just do a hyperlink or a direct access to their page.
Also in the works with the branding.
You brought up branding and signage and stuff, and there's been a lot of conversations in different meetings about it. I'd say probably just check with Devin, because I feel like there's been a lot of people trying to go different directions. And it would be terrible to have multiples again. Be nice to just see one standard palette.
For sure. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, that wraps up item 5 on the agenda. Moving to other business. Discussion and possible action regarding 6A to reconsider the May 12th vote on motion by sign. Do we have some preliminary information on this?
Yeah, on May 12th, the village board discussed the vacancy created by Officer McCade Miller resignation. Notice submitted on, he in April 29th, he noticed submitted for leaving. During that discussion, several options were considered, including filling the vacancy, delaying recruitment, and evaluating the village's ability to maintain 24-hour police coverage within the current budget constraints. Following the discussion, the board approved a motion directing staff to move forward with filling the vacancy and bring a final hiring recommendation back to the board before any hiring discussion was finalized. That motion was passed 3-2. Since that action, staff has continued to work on the 2027 budget and long-range financial planning. I guess before we go any further, would there be any motion to reconsider?
So to remind the board how motions to reconsider work, motions to reconsider need to happen at the same meeting or the immediately next regularly scheduled meeting of the body that the motion originally came from. And the motion shall be proposed by a member of the prevailing vote only. So who were the prevailing vote members from last month's meeting? Do you remember?
Nicole, Tony, and Mike.
Okay, so one of those 3 would be the one to propose that motion, and then that would need to pass by majority vote. And what that does is that passes reconsideration, and at that point, the topic comes back to the table and is open for open discussion for any motion.
Can I make a motion on my own motion? I know sometimes you can't do that.
You can amend your own motion once one's on the floor, but there's nothing currently on the floor now.
But he could move.
Yes, you can, yeah, you were on the prevailing side, so you
Yes, I
could
didn't know if
definitely,
because I made.
move
the-
reconsideration.
Reconsider my
Yep.
own motion.
you can.
So I will make a motion to reconsider the motion that I previously made.
Is there a second for Mike's?
Just the second
Motion
have
to
to come from the
reconsider.
majority.
No.
No,
Can come
the
from anyone.
second can come from anywhere.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to reconsider. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no.
No.
All right, I didn't catch yours.
I wasn't on.
4-2, motion passes. Okay, so the motion is reconsidered. So we are now at the point of where we were when this topic was on the agenda at the last meeting.
So a little thing, more information to, after that motion was made. Arvid was not here for that meeting too. I know he wanted to speak and potentially have his voice heard too on this topic. With that, at the admin finance meeting in June, as staff has been working on the budget more and more and looking at our debt ceiling going forward, every year we are doing a roughly $300,000 short-term borrow that comes from our debt levy. Starting in 2029, 2028 payable in 29, that $300,000 no longer exists as our debt will be eating the rest of that up. So what that means is right now our debt levy without the short-term borrow is $1 million, and with the short-term borrows, it's 1.3. We were able to do that because in the last 2 years, we've seen a decrease in our debt service from 1.3 to 1 million. So that left a $300,000 difference that kept taxes flat. So coming up the next 2 years, the ability to do that with short-term borrow is no longer available to us, and we'll have to find other sources of revenue. With that $300,000 short-term borrow that we've been doing, if we opt to do that this year, with the leaving of McCade Miller, there's roughly a $78,000 deficit, or currently, excuse me, there's roughly an $85,000 deficit right now going into the budget. So this, if we didn't hire an officer, the deficit would be erased and the budget would be balanced without hiring a new officer. So that's why some of this motion was projected to be reconsidered, is the budget implication of it, that we can balance the budget without affecting any more services or adjusting staff levels as currently presented. The consideration that the board needs to make tonight to discuss is figuring out what type of service that you wish you have. Does the board want to maintain a 24-hour police coverage? And how we go about filling the vacant position? Is that motion that was approved in May still a valid motion that you wish to see going forward? There's always a pro and con to everything. The pro is you balance the budget on without any other consideration or cuts that would need to be made. The big decision here is the potential public safety issue that would arise due to this too. As Police Chief Box already said, there has been some instances in the community where not having 24-hour coverage has already provided some strain on the police officers, and the amount of work they're doing is already putting a strain on the short staff that we have. So tonight, some of the recommendations that I want the board to discuss and kind of talk about what they deem as appropriate is if you want to reconsider your motion and change it, how would you like to change it? How would you like to change the motion? Is this because of the context of that I provided for the village long-term financial outlook and upcoming budget challenges? And then first, I think you should determine the level of police service that you wish you have in Osceola. I think that would go a long ways if we can really iron out how much or what police coverage our citizens and the board expects the police to have. With that, AJ and I are here for any questions that you might have. Like Brett said, you can continue on like this motion was never made and discuss and have open discussion. If you need more details or anything, we could table this to the next meeting as long as you direct us to get the information that you request, or you guys can make a formal motion tonight of how would you like to proceed with the police opening.
Can you walk us through the debt level part of that conversation once more? You indicated that with the 2028 budget cycle for payable 29, that short-term borrow option is no longer going to be available.
Technically, it would still be available. You would just see a larger increase in taxes because we would increase our debt levy into another level. So technically, it would be available. To keep the taxes at the relatively flat rate, it would not be available to us anymore because our debt service then goes up to $1.3 million, which it is currently with the short-term borrow. You see what I'm saying there? So our debt service right now is $1 million.
Yep.
We do a $300,000 shortfall, short term to cover the budget.
Right.
That brings us to 1.3.
Right.
In that year that I mentioned, our debt service without that short-term borrow is $1.3 million.
Because of ongoing commitments we've
Yep.
already made, projects we're going to be doing,
Mhm.
CIP borrow, that kind of stuff?
Yep.
Okay, so we have flexibility with our CIP to potentially impact that number, is that right?
That would be the next CIP borrow. So technically you could decrease that.
Okay, all right, so I have a better understanding now, thanks.
So you could change things around our debt service, but that's what's going to be payable in the future with that.
Thanks.
I know, I think after the last meeting, we all know where I kind of am standing on this. I think that the conversation in admin and finance, and I'll defer to Arvin to characterize his experience with it, but I think it, in 2 years, essentially, we would have about and Devin's memo noted this, we're going to have about a $400,000 structural deficit. And I think that we need to really engage on what that means. I don't think we're going to get to a decision tonight about the board's view on 24-hour police coverage. That's a big subject. That's more than any one meeting. But I think that the trajectory that Devin and Tanya described to us and that Devin's described here, I think only reinforces my view that we're not properly structured for the revenues that we have. And I think this is a microcosm of that experience. And honestly, my suggestion would be we just don't do a hire this year while we go through next year's budget process so that we can make informed choices about where we would like to see the deficit fixed. And maybe that's partially in the police department, maybe that's spread across departments, maybe it's entirely in the police department. But I don't think that we need to solve our budget issue for next year right now. I'm just saying we shouldn't make it any worse right now. And as we go through our regular budget process, I think we'll have more time. My hope would be to be more thoughtful about where we try to solve the budget for next year. So that would be my stance.
Okay, so I wasn't at the last meeting. I think you've heard me speak previously when we floated the idea of not rehiring people, not rehiring staff, that I didn't like that idea. I think that sends the wrong message. We're trying to provide services to our community, and we need to figure out how to do that. However, at the admin finance meeting, Tanya, who's not here, presented quite clearly that the wall is right ahead. And we have looked into potential other sources of funding and come up empty. We've heard clearly from the community that they don't want anything more tax-wise. And in 2 years, the message is either we raise taxes or we're going to have to cut $400,000. And I don't know where that's coming from, but I'll echo what Neil just said. We need to think about this very clearly before we commit ourselves to spending more than, and I guess a question right now is if we don't fill this spot, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a year potentially before we get a new officer. Is that money being saved, or are we going to end up, it probably ties to, do we want 24-hour coverage, or are we just going to keep spending it anyway?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, we're already seeing a cost savings because we're down an officer and we have been for, about a month now.
Right, so there's going to be overtime, or we're
Well,
contracting.
yeah, I mean,
whatever.
and that's, I try to prioritize, critical gaps, weekends, holidays, that sort of a thing. But at the end of the day, I don't want to have to force an officer who's been, coming off of 2, 3, 12-hour shifts to have to work another shift that we have open, So I'm trying to maintain that balance of providing coverage during critical times while not burning out our officers. And that's been my challenge thus far, following
In terms of cost savings, anything, if we're under our budget for the year, all that money just goes back to the general fund. So it doesn't get earmarked for anything in the future. Any operating levy that we had just goes right back into the general fund, and that's, we're deemed under budget then for the year.
But I was, what AJ referred to here is, structurally in his department, if he's running an officer short for the next year, are we saving money in the police budget? Because if our directive is we want 24-hour coverage.
Realistically,
For it somehow.
the earliest that if we were to sponsor a candidate would, that being a applicant who has not already been through the academy, the earliest we'd be looking at sending them through the academy would be August. And then that academy is 720 hours. And so, they might be ready by the first of the year next year on their own. The last meeting I proposed, allow me to at least post the position, see who we can get as applicants. Because if we're able to plug someone in right away, that would be an option I'd want to bring before you guys and make a decision on. But in the meantime, I just want to see who's out there that we could move on. So, but it's going to be a rough year for us no matter what, because, like I explained last meeting, we can't just hire people and give them a job a week later. There's a lot of vetting that we have to do, background checks, interviews, psychological exam. And I mean, there's a lot to it when you hire a police
Yeah,
officer.
even if we interview the perfect candidate tomorrow, it's probably 2 months before they're even on the road.
Can you help me just to clarify my understanding of how your staffing is structured? So Tremblay's at the school, right?
He was, and
Back.
he's back. So we're plugging him into our schedule for.
And so the number of officers with Tremblay not at school, and he's with the department now for the summer.
Mhm.
My memory is that number of officers is what we would consider like a fully staffed department, correct? Because the school resource officer was a position above and beyond what we've considered to be a fully staffed department. Is that right?
Yes.
So we could argue that you're at least fully staffed through to the end of August at this point, because you've got Tremblay available, roughly equivalent to any other officer on your roster, right?
Yep. There's a little bit of a gap. I don't have Officer Tremblay on strict overnights, but it's covering the bulk of the shift.
Okay.
But yeah, and then once school starts, then he's back at the school full time, and then bigger problems come. So.
Depending on 6G.
Yeah, which crossed my mind. And I mean, I think for Arvid and I in the admin committee meeting, it is not a fun, easy, or simple topic to figure out how to solve this problem. But it is up to us to try and figure out how to solve the problem. And so again, my suggestion is simply that we don't fill the position for the remainder of the year, and that we go through a budget process where we can really think about, I know I benefit from time to think about things between meetings, and where we can really think about areas in the village that we want to prioritize and areas we want to deprioritize. Because to me, $400,000 deficit is $400,000 of prioritization decisions. Fundamentally, is what we're faced with. And we don't have to solve $400,000 in the next budget cycle. We have time for that, but we shouldn't make it harder for us. And that has really been my stance for why I voted the way I voted last time, and why I think we should delay replacing.
I'd be interested in hearing from those, the three of you that supported the motion at the last meeting.
I think Neil's saying the same thing I said last time was let's just wait. I feel like he's creating a duration that might be a year.
I think I'm,
Delay, and I said a delay until we can maybe find somebody and then talk about it, or the other alternative would be is come up with a budget solution. And I made that compromising motion because we were going nowhere. We were volleying back and forth. Because I agree with both sides. I would like, I guess I'm going to ask you specifically, if we're delaying this, is your agenda to, or your thought, I shouldn't say agenda, is your thought to wait until this time next year when we're finishing that budget cycle to see if we can drum up more savings somewhere?
I think
Or generate more revenue or something?
I think my thought is that we should make a decision about the kind of staffing we want at the police department, which is fundamental. Like Devin asked the larger question about 24-hour police coverage. So my suggestion is that we make a decision about 24-hour police coverage at the time we're making decisions about all of the departments, so that we aren't focusing the entirety of a budget deficit on the police department, which if we were to permanently say we're not going to hire this position.
So you and I bantered a few meetings ago about trying to find out where to save money. And it was, you'd said like 5 to 10% per department, and I suggested something similar, which was identify, let's just look at everything and then rethink it, which then it morphed into scope in Todd's department, things like that. I don't know that I've still heard from other departments on where they're talking about saving, because I don't know that I've heard budget and finance come back and say, hey, we found, again, Todd has overcrept scope and we can save costs because we need one less summer helper or something. So I feel like I'm missing information. Unless you guys tell me in budget and finance that you've scoured every budget in every department and there's no more money anywhere. I would challenge that statement, just like challenging the scope of whether we need.
I will speak a little to that. When we did look at the cutting 5 or 10% of the department, we were looking at funds, that discretionary funding that we actually have control over. For instance, AJ's department is roughly $840,000. Of that $840,000, I'm only using your department because I know your numbers off the top of my head.
Why don't we talk about utilities?
But I'm only using yours because I did your math for you. And with that, of his $840,000 a year, only $60,000 of that is discretionary funds. So it is impossible to cut 10% from AJ's budget because he doesn't even have 10% of his own budget to.
I sat with AJ with coffee one morning and went through the budget, which I would think very detailed.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a nickel in there. I think there's scope in there that can move numbers around, and I don't know that I've had the opportunity to either hear or dig in myself into other budgets.
Yeah, and some of that stuff we've been doing is trying to extend our contracts longer, so we're paying less on that type of stuff. So we are trying to find ways in every department to minimize it. The reality is our revenues haven't kept up with, for instance, inflation is one of them, cost of oil.
Inflation and wage increases are gonna hurt every department, and I was just talking to somebody today about when Rick has to, like, if you found somebody to replace.
Working on it.
Yeah. Every generation, I think of replacement people, it takes two to replace a guy like, Ralph. I wanted to say Robin, I'm like, that's not right, it's Ralph. It takes a lot more money and sometimes even more people to replace somebody like a Ralph. Those are costs that I don't know that we have identified. And just like I felt really bad because I was kind of beating up on Rick the other day about pricing out, the SCADA system, and we wanted to go with automatic systems. I agree with him, but we got to look at every nickel because I don't know that we're going to find it in one spot. And I don't know, like you've talked about, looking at the big ticket items. I've been trying to look at it the other way. Look at the nickels and work our way backwards and see what else we can save, because we have a tiny budget in the grand scheme of everything. There's only 3 or 4 people in Todd's department. You get somebody on vacation and somebody gets injured, Todd blows a knee out, and then somebody's on vacation, we're short on a snowstorm. Just like you're running it. So you're unfortunately here at a bad time.
Oh, that's what I hear. So, and I get that. I just see this as it's going to look good on paper, but the downside is just too significant from a public safety perspective in the grand scheme of this, because it takes so long to find a suitable candidate. All this talk about cutting staff and not hiring, what does that tell other people, prospective candidates that might look at Osceola PD? It has ripple effects.
There is no good solution to this situation at all. I totally agree with you.
I mean, if you just read his, I mean, all of his reports, it's in the reports how busy they are and how much they need people. I mean, do you
So
really
what-
want a sexual assault to go
Uninvestigated.
uninvestigated or
Something-
waiting 45 minutes for, maybe potentially a new sheriff down there, Don, to send someone out and investigate that? You know, these
So
are
what's a
things that
form-
we have to think about.
The alternative is in a year or two, we do some referendum to raise taxes by 400,000 across the
Yes.
population.
In order for that type of revenue, there's got to be, as Neil mentioned, wholesale changes, or as many municipalities across the state are resorting to operation referendums. Operation referendums can have many scopes. You can do referendum in perpetuity, which means that you increase it, but you're only increasing the amount that you put on you can't put escalators, so you can't say increase 3% by year. It's a certain amount that you're increasing your levy by that number every year forever. So you want to make sure when you do a referendum, you create enough cushion that your referendum is not out of date in 2 years. You want to make sure there's some play in the referendum that you do pass. And the referendums that have been passing in the state have been public safety, except for recently in the last year, because of kind of the trickle down of the economy. Is even public safety in the last year has had a hard time passing referendums too. But traditionally in the past, public safety referendums are the referendums that have passed.
So the average house in town is probably what, 250, 300?
Somewhere in that ballpark, yeah.
What's the impact of 400,000 based on how many?
The last time we did it, it was basically $30 per $100,000 home. So it wasn't even a huge impact.
So $100 a year on the average house.
That's using old numbers from a few years ago.
Ballpark, 100, $200.
Between
Got
150 and 3,
voted down 2-1.
It did get voted down 2-1.
and it was it was like around $300 to $400 per the average home.
And
Yeah,
I-
and with
It's a
the
10% increase. at
with the
least.
school district, I know that the only referendums that have passed lately have been the facilities referendums. That's it. The operational ones have been soundly defeated.
And I'm incredibly sympathetic, Nicole, to your point. I really am. I'm very sympathetic to AJ's position. It is not fun to do this. I completely hear, and I've told you, Mike, that I agree with your view that we should look for nickels, right?
We're at a point where
We have to look for nickels. We also cannot use that. I do not believe, I don't have any math to back this up, but I do not believe we're going to find $400,000 worth of nickels.
no.
So we're going to have to think about both of those activities, right? Every committee is going to have to think through what that committee does, what they oversee, and what they're going to do less of, as every committee thinks about nickels. And we're all going to have to think about big things too. And so, again, I'm not here suggesting a permanent stance towards the police department. I'm just saying this is a way for us to take a whack at a big thing for a little bit, to give us some breathing room to try and be more thoughtful than just hitting AJ's department over the head, because he's the first one that's come to us in this situation, which is what I mean by bad timing. And so I think that, like, I'm not here to try and solve the budget issue now. This is going to take the next 2 years to solve.
Have you done the exit interview yet?
With McCade, I spoke with him briefly after he turned in his
I spoke with
resignation.
him too.
Other than wages per hour, was there anything else that was indicated?
Wages per hour
Or anything,
wasn't a big thing. It was more or less he wanted an opportunity to do more within the community, and he thought St. Croix Falls offered that. He also thought the potential of more backup in St. Croix Falls too was a substantial reason.
Interesting. I mean, we just revamped our entire pay structure with our current department in order to get to full staffing.
Like I said, I don't think that the benefits were
No.
really applicable because we are pretty competitive with the other departments in the area.
Currently, we're higher than St. Croix Falls.
Yeah.
They
You know,
are.
I
They are.
think that a lot of this budget talk didn't help, you know, hearing about possible layoffs and cutting staff, you know.
I struggle with that, AJ, because it is our job to try and effectively provide budgetary guidance, and we are obligated to meet and discuss it in public. I mean, it is not reasonable to expect that these kinds of difficult decisions and discussions are going to happen in a way where we can shield staff from them or the public. And so I'm sympathetic to the difficulty, but I also am unaware of an alternative for how we should try and discuss what we're going to do about this.
I guess that's why I'm of the position that we have to answer the bigger question of, do we want 24-hour coverage with the police department? Because I'm hearing a lot of, we support law enforcement, no higher taxes,
And
and
those
they're
are-
not compatible.
Those are diametrically opposed.
And
That's
those
right.
are the conflicting messages we're receiving from the community.
Right.
I do
I mean,
think that
I agree.
I do think the next year we're gonna have the discussion about a possible referendum if this is something that is deemed important.
Tony, do you have anything you want to share?
I mean, I'm new to the board and I hear a lot of talk about finding nickels and cutting costs and cutting hours. But I don't hear anybody talking about generating any kind of capital or ideas to bring in money. So I think that that's always an avenue that we can explore. I just don't think that in the midst of everything that's coming up, that you would want to lose any officers or any public safety. I mean, how long do you guys want to wait? Let's say it's December, the end of December, close to Christmas. It's Sunday night. Somebody breaks into your home. How long do you want to wait for an officer to show up? How long do you guys want to sit and wonder if somebody's going to get there on time?
I don't want to
How
wait,
long
and
is
nobody else wants to
this-
wait.
And I
How
know
much
that
do
sounds
people want to
dramatic.
pay in taxes? I mean, I'm
How
not
long does the
fighting you
elderly
on
patient
this.
need to wait for medical attention because there's no welfare check? How,
I just think there's some things that you don't
They've been down to date.
don't cut.
yeah, so that,
That you don't cut.
Dead
There's
in a
things that we
couple
pay
days,
for.
so
I know there's things that we pay for. I don't have the math. I don't have the numbers or the know-how to talk about it with any sort of knowledge. But I know there's things that we pay for that don't need to be paid for right now.
You know, I think, David, one of the things that you brought up when you talked about the debt service and where we're at with the various projects that contribute to that, I do know that our current CIP has a certain amount built into it to offset inflationary growth. And that's what's this slow incremental growth for the
3
total
to
borrow.
5% every year.
Right. So, and that is predicated on the assumption that we want to be able to continue to afford the same things that that plan represents 3 to 5 years out, right? We don't want to budget for $100,000 project now and then suddenly find out we can't afford that $100,000 project 4 years from now because inflation made it a $140,000 project. So that's why that's built in that way. But in the same token, what that's doing is it's also increasing the amount of our borrow that we do for our CIP projects every single 2-year borrow. Maybe we need to have a systematic and functional discussion about how much we want to do with the CIP. I mean, that's also an option. So I honestly think, to Neil's point, there is no easy solution to this. I can tell you right now, the community is not going to like us telling them, we're going to keep things the way they are and we're going to make you pay for it. That's going to tick everybody off. So if we don't find ways to raise revenue, or at least find avenues to work towards revenue, we got lucky the last couple of years. We sold some land. Yay. That helped close our budget shortfall, right? I need a
CIP.
I need a
yeah, we're
$20
gonna put that in
I need
the
a $20
CIP.
microphone.
I wish those were extra.
But we also then in the other side of that equation sat down and said, all right, well, we're going to budget for this, but then in a year it'll be this plus 5%, and then in 2 years it'll be that plus 5% more. So, you know, we may have to talk to the public about. It's fine, we'll get it fixed. We may have to talk to the public about whether or not they'd be okay with us stretching some of these projects out even further. And that's going to be to the detriment of all of the departments that benefit from the various things that are in the CIP. Every department has things that are slated to be done in the CIP. There's infrastructure in there, there's parks in there, there's police and fire in there, there's public works in there, there's everything, utilities, it's all in there. this is going to be a combination solution. No one department should bear the brunt of this. But we have an opportunity here to make a choice. And I go back to what I said in the meeting before the last one, which was I envision walking down the street and just asking anybody, do you want to pay more in taxes or do you want to have 24 police coverage? You can't have both. Are you going to be okay with somebody not being on duty during an overnight one night? Or are you going to be willing to pay an extra $100, $200, $300 a year more every year in perpetuity? Because it's not going to slow down in your taxes. And they're going to say, I ain't paying more. That's ridiculous. I don't want to pay any more in taxes. I'll just move. You know, whatever, any number of things that they may say, but they are not going to support that decision, especially if it's the only thing we do. If we do nothing else but just chop or increase taxes, they're gonna be like, well, what else did you do?
I want to point out too that our budget has not increased greatly over the last few years. What has happened is different revenues have gone away over the last few years. This has not been a case of people making their budgets grow. No, we've been operating lean every year. Last year, we saw a decrease in our operating funds. So, I mean, when people think about how you get a deficit, it has nothing to do with our expenditures up to this point, because we have been decreasing or staying the same every year. What has happened is we were having some revenues that were being presented into our yearly budget that should not have been there in the first place, that had to be removed due to auditing standards. So that made the deficit look greater than it actually was in the past. So it's nothing to do with this. This did not grow due to our operations growing over the time. So I just want people to know that too, that this has not happened due to that.
I think it was a comprehensive plan. Some entity presented that we needed X many housing units in so many years.
It was the housing study in 2019 said that Polk County needed roughly 350 homes in the next.
Was it all of Polk County?
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking it was us.
It was the whole Polk County on the housing study one.
Do you have any projection on what, I know it's hypothetical, but based on the conversations going, well, we haven't had any building permits yet, or very few this year.
Very few new home permits this year.
What is our normal projection for new housing?
Anywhere between 6 and 18.
What does that generate?
Even at most, you're looking at net new construction. These commercial ones help much more than new housing does.
So, and we have commercial vacancy.
Some.
So, yeah. Commercial.
Even though we have two substantially large TID districts, and any development in TID districts go to our TID districts, not to our operating budget.
So I don't see that. Where I'm back to Tony's question is where's the revenue going to come from? I feel like it might be residential, but you're saying that's a drop in the bucket.
We would need substantial. The stuff that we've been talking about, the PUD south of the airport, that's the potential for 300 units over the next 10 years. That would be substantial, and you would see an increase into our operating due to that. The 90 homes, the 90 units potentially in Gateway would have an impact to that.
Help me with the math. How many houses to pay for a copy?
It's a kind of a loaded question on that one. So, yeah, I couldn't give you that number at the top.
More than our infrastructure can currently
Yeah,
support
so that's not
in
the same
that time
thing.
frame, right?
And however, we also, as you get more citizens too, you need more services.
I was gonna say, more than our infrastructure can support.
I know too that like in the Northwood Tech District, net new construction, so that's the entirety of northwestern Wisconsin, was about 1.5%. So we probably, I would hope, would be a little bit higher than that, because that's including like winter, way up there.
Yeah,
But
last I checked, I think we were the second fastest growing community.
I don't
behind
know that
Folsom,
it
so.
would rival inflation.
No,
But I
And we're
agree with
probably
you.
one of the smaller police departments.
our
Is
net
it
new
correct in the-
construction does
county?
not outpace
Yeah.
inflation.
No,
No,
we're
actually one of the bigger
we're
ones.
among the larger. We're
Really?
comparable to St. Croix Falls and Amory.
There's only 60,000.
Amory's larger.
60,000 residents. in Polk
I
County.
I looked them up. I did look up Amory, and they're larger and they're 24/7.
Amory also has $1 million more in their life
Yeah.
than we do.
And higher taxes.
No, they
What
do.
was the last time we raised taxes?
This year.
Yeah,
Literally
but
this year.
it was raised due to us, the borrow, right?
Oh.
So what's the difference between the borrow and just having people pay for it? Like
We have
I mean,
revenue caps, so the
Yeah, we
state
can't
prevents.
tax more than what our levy cap is.
Yeah.
But what we can choose to do is we can utilize what's available in our debt levy. So like we have amounts that we borrow every 2 years that the taxpayers told us that we can do.
Mhm.
Okay, that was done in 2018.
In layman's terms, you're saying, let's skip Third Avenue and hire a cop.
That would be one way to say it. Yeah. Yeah. But then we're gonna catch flack from those that are saying we've abdicated
Yeah,
our
but
responsibility.
I think there's
to
something
take
in the
care of our roads for
CIP.
20 years.
I think there's something in the CIP that we can look at for
I'm not saying
for
it's
it.
third, it came up this-
Yeah, you know that,
That's
but
the
that's a
equivalent.
good,
It is.
it's a good basis. I just think,
Leave your roads crappy for a while and then you can hire a cop. That's one way to look at it.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I just think.
Lot's only so big.
Yeah, safety is just one thing that I feel very strongly about.
I want to say one more thing. Like, our hands as the village is not the only hand in everybody's pocket. There's
Very true.
other people that are sticking their hand in and taking money. And ours is one of the smallest ones. And it's the impression to the community is everything's going up. And that's as bad because people are going to go, I can't afford to live here. I'll just go live somewhere else. So we can say you don't have a cop and you might make a couple people move. You say, hey, I'm going to make it unaffordable for you to live here. I'm going to move. Which argument do you want to use to run somebody else?
Yeah, guys, and just to close out, I appreciate the position that you're in, and I agree with you, Neil, that these are things that do need to be talked about. But, looking at it from my position, my interest is in the public safety of Osceola. So that's where my loyalties are going to be when we have discussions like this. And
We're glad they are.
off of Mike's point, we're dealing with $4 gas. Have you been to the grocery store? Have you tried to buy a new car lately? Everything is going up. It's not reasonable to think your taxes are going to be flat because the village is still utilizing all of those different resources just like anyone else. And we're just at that.
The less attractive viewpoint that I want to share, which is my opinion on this, is that I have a hard time equating 24-hour police coverage to more safe. All right, I understand that coverage can increase response, like it can decrease response time. But there's a scale there because you could have 50 cops on duty. But does that necessarily equate to more safe? I don't know where the difference in that lies. If you have one on duty versus 50 and that one person is available to you, then they can respond. If you have 10 on duty and there are 13 incidents, 3 people are going to wait.
I have
Potentially.
a similar view of you. I would like to see 4 people from a coverage standpoint. I don't know that we need 24.
Well, I don't know that we need 24-hour coverage at the
I'm
moment.
gonna say it. I think we need 4 people. It's just like, Todd's department needs 4 people. Rick's department needs 4 people. But I don't know that it's all at the same time. And the way you're saying, it doesn't equate to being safer. It's the work-life balance that makes it where we don't lose somebody because they don't want to work extra overtime or they don't want to work nights or they don't want to.
Yeah, you made a really good point when
It's
you said
huge.
people could leave because they feel it's unsafe. People could also leave because they feel it's too expensive to live here. So
Osceola is a very safe community. Our crime rate is very low. It's just the reason we want 24-hour coverage again is for those oddball incidents that can happen. A drunk driver crashes at 4 o'clock in the morning and hits a tree or runs into a house or something like that. It's important that we have someone close to respond to that. Now we can handle investigations and do follow-up and stuff like that. That's not the problem. It's just having someone available to respond in short order to those incidents.
Well, on top of that, people that commit crimes are going to know when there's not an officer on duty. Like that's going to spread and people that's what they do. They take advantage of situations like that.
yeah, you could also say
Crimes
you
of
can make that same
opportunity.
argument to say, well, that guy's got somebody pulled over. He's the only one on duty, so now I'm going to go commit crime. Like, I don't know about that one.
There's sometimes I go faster than I know what.
Well, I'm looking at the big picture. Couple inflation, couple of bridge being down, couple tourism being shattered, some people having some very hard times, and it's gonna create problems. And when people know that there's not an officer on duty, that's the time they're gonna try to do it.
In regard to taxes,
It doesn't stop.
a $300,000 market value home, not taxable value, market value, our residents do pay less in taxes than the majority of communities around us pay less.
I ran on not raising any taxes, so I mean, it's a really precarious position to be in because I'm staunch supporter in law enforcement. At the same time, extra $200 to $300 a year out of my bank account to make sure everybody's safe. I think I can make that compromise. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a one size fits all thing like Neil was talking about. We gotta find different avenues to save money and a few avenues to generate money. And I think it's doable, but I just don't think cutting one of the most important aspects of our town is gonna be the answer to that.
I mean, Rick's saving us some money right now.
Different funds.
Yeah, they're funded separately.
They're strictly used by rates.
But then it goes back into the general fund.
No, not his.
No,
No,
his
not
stuff is
his.
completely independent.
Oh,
They're a
well.
separate fund.
Todd's not here, you can pick on him.
Oh,
I tried.
Rick's-
Mike,
Rick's
You
you
know,
father.
like,
brought this to the table. Do you have a motion that you want to make? Otherwise, we're at the point where we're going to be where
Yep.
we were last
Yeah.
month. We're going to spin
Yeah.
our wheels for the next half hour and not have a motion.
So it was a little bit of a loaded question before. What's your thought? You want to wait a year until the next budget cycle?
I'd like to just say, we're not gonna
Uh-uh.
refill the position until we're completed with our budget cycle for next year, 2027.
What is that? What's
So that means
Is that
that
October, November?
October. yeah.
It would
Budget
be
work
of
cycles
this
would be
year.
in
of
October.
this year. So
I'm
it
not
would be that we would be in a position to make a decision about what kind of staffing we would like to see for the department next year while going through our regular budget process. That would be my suggestion.
July, August, September, October.
We usually
4 to
approve,
5
we
months.
approve, we
We
approve the
approve
budget
in November.
Yeah.
So
We're looking at a 5-month window to think about this.
that's
I think-
what I'm suggesting.
I think it would be okay to wait maybe a month because Tremblay's here.
So we're really.
But
it's a
anything
5
far
month-
that,
I mean, generous, it's a 5-month delay. That's already being somewhat covered by Tremblay and somewhat covered by the fact that the odds of finding somebody are slim. So it's just it's a 5-month rough.
Well, and to add color to that, it's a 5-month breath. 3 of those months are covered by Tremblay, so over half.
I know, but to his defense, there's still a delay in the.
with background checks, with psychology
No, I'm
reports, with
I'm
trying to
talking
figure out
about
if they.
like coverage time until we make a decision.
Yes.
Not
I'm
the
gonna
delay that it
suggest
would-
that even if we said yes in November, it's still gonna take him some time to fill it.
For
I'm
sure.
Using that same 5-month window.
Okay.
And again, he could get lucky right away and hire somebody. I'm trying to pick the worst case. It could be a year. I mean, how long did it take you to, how many years did we go trying to fill?
14 months? Yeah, it was over a year process to build the department back up.
Yeah, but I think now we have. Well, we're offering to do the schooling and all of that. I don't think it'll take that long, but I would, if we get a newbie right out of college again, that's gonna take 6 or 7 months for them to go through
The
everything.
earliest
go
I could
through
send someone to
training.
academy is August.
Yes,
And if we wait till November, what's the next cycle?
Spring.
January. It's January from Chippewa Valley.
Try to figure this out. We'll get 2 months to do it. Is that enough time?
I guess the reason I'm tying it to the budget cycle for next year is I think it makes sure that we're looking at all departments rather than trying to solve a budget shortfall on the back of one department, which I think is important.
I want to dig into Rick's budget and see if we can squeeze a nickel out of that.
I tried, didn't work.
We squeeze the nickels out of it every day. I know it was safe to pick on you because I know I can't do it.
Am I allowed to make a motion?
Yes.
Anyone can make a
Anyone?
motion.
So in the name of seeing where everyone is, I'll make a motion that we implement a freeze on replacing the vacancy in the police department until we've completed our budget process for 2027.
It should have a stated, I would say,
So the end of November,
okay.
because we adopt our budget by the end of November.
5 months, 5
5
month
months.
freeze.
5-month freeze. I'll restate it. I make a motion that we do a 5-month freeze on replacing the position in the police department.
Is there a second on this motion? I will offer my own. We've had plenty of discussion already, so I don't know that we have to have any in favor of or opposed to on the specific motion. I think everybody's in their own positions at the moment. All those in favor of a 5-month hiring freeze before the decision is made, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries 4-2. Now, we have an open position currently posted. So do we need to pull that?
For an hiring freeze, I will have to pull it.
Okay, all right. Thank you, AJ. Okay, moving to the next item on the agenda, we are at 6B, Ridge Road Project, pay application number 1 to JNS General Contracting.
Whoa, what the heck happened here?
Playing Tetris?
Good evening. Yeah, good evening, board. This is Eric Henningsgaard.
Oh.
Apologize, I couldn't be there in person. You guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite well.
Yeah, actually.
All right, good. Good, yeah, so as the agenda item notes, this is a first pay application for JNS for the Ridge Road Extension Project. That's a project where we're extending Ridge Road up by Quick Trip. The cul-de-sac there is going away and extends down to what referred to as Old Ridge Road or the original Ridge Road. And then Ridge Road, the older portion that extends out to Highway 35 is being eliminated and replaced with a trail and a sidewalk down the west side of Highway 35 Cascade.
It's page 70.
And the work that's been completed to date, they've done the clearing, some grading, storm sewer, which extends all the way down to Depot Road and all the way up 35 and to the developed area. They've worked on that as well. Since the application has been submitted, they've actually finished the sidewalk along 35 Cascade 2. That's not on this application, but they've done that now as well. And so this is just a continuation of the project, and I recommend payment of the requested amount.
I got a project question. Is the work that happened on a depot part of this?
Yes.
So the,
Part of the pay application.
yeah, so there's
Oh, part of the pay application. That was part of the project or pay application?
a project and thus pay up.
Eric, did you hear that?
No, actually, I can't hear Mike speaking.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to share a mic and I moved away from it. So the bottom of 35 Hill in the transition onto Depot Road, is that all part of this project? Like the end of the sidewalk?
Correct.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to go
Yeah.
through those drawings that you sent. Yeah, I got busy. What line, I'm looking for asphalt on here, I don't see it.
No, well, asphalt hasn't been paid yet.
Oh, so it didn't make the pay app.
No, it's part, he missed that part of the question. It's not part of the pay app. It was part of the project.
Correct.
So I asked some questions of the board on the traffic because I wasn't sure what was going on. And this is gonna be my tone for the rest of the evening. There's a systematic problem with the way that we're managing projects in town. And I think, and just to AJ's point, there's gonna be some impact on him. So there was a pretty big traffic impact in town and it came through because of some traffic lane closure. So after some looking into it, I figured out that nobody pulled the traffic, a lane closure permit for that. Now this is under JNS. This is part of their project and he's charging us for, there's some mobilization that could have it and there's probably some traffic management in there. JNS had the retaining wall last summer that didn't have a permit for it. There was some question about RASCA and the permitting there. And now we're doing more work in town where they're not following. I'm going to dig in deep into the Pember one too. I don't see it in here. I would love to say we don't pay it, because they can't seem to follow what's in the project documents. And I'm gonna get nitpicky because it's a trickle down thing and it goes back to the budget where if we don't build stuff right, it's back on our own departments to manage it, whether it's traffic, it's maintenance, it's the air conditioning in here. It's the blinds that fall down.
Sure, and I think, Mike, specifically what you're referring to is, when Monarch paved, there's a patch area where the sidewalk goes down to Depot and the crosswalk would be, that we replaced the curb and had to replace some asphalt there. And so when Monarch came and paved that, patched that back in, they closed a lane and flagged traffic for that work.
I heard it backed up all the way to the elementary school. Now, whether it's a traffic issue or a potential accident, it impacts town. And it all goes back from a mismanagement of the project. And then they want us to pay for it. So it's fine, but I'm using this pulpit now to complain about it. So.
Sure.
So I read through the pay application and I didn't see anything on there that we're being invoiced for that is inappropriate yet. Did anybody else see anything on there that's inappropriate yet?
I'm fine with it. It was an opportunity to have a discussion.
Okay.
If for some reason there was an asphalt payment on here or more traffic control costs, I'd have said,
Right.
no, I ain't paying for something they didn't do.
Right.
Or didn't do correctly.
Right. Anybody else have any questions for Eric on the pay application? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve payment.
I'll make a motion that we approve this payment.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve payment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion passes 6-0. Moving to the next item on the agenda, 6C, 2031 WSDOT US Highway 35 resurfacing project, village project scope determination.
Eric and Rick and Todd have really been involved heavily with this discussion, and I'll let Eric talk about this one.
Yeah, so this is the 2031 project for DOT where they're gonna be resurfacing from 243 all the way up to 8, Highway 35/Cascade. And we've been in multiple discussions with them about this project, what they give an opportunity to communities where they redo these projects is, are there items that you want included in the project? It will be included in the DOT project, not a separate village project for them to do at village cost. And so we started off the discussions of water and sewer, and then street grades and some other miscellaneous items we can get into in a second here. And those discussions, once we brought that up, they said, well, if you're tearing up the majority of the street, like putting in new water and sewer, you're gonna have to put back concrete paving surface at village cost. And we said, well, we're not doing that. I don't remember what the end cost was with millions.
It was between 3 and 4 million for that.
3 and 4 million, okay, yeah, so we're like, well, we're not doing that. And the water and sewer are the original vintage, the 1917, over 100 years old. The sewer there is in okay shape and a candidate for lining. And so instead of completely reconstructing it, we decided that we could line that and rebuild some of the manholes as needed if they're failing. The water main runs in the northbound or east side parking lanes. And so we wouldn't have to get into the highway as much for that work. And so wanted to include that. It's not failing yet, but to stay ahead of it, to not have breaks or discontinued service. At any point, it's a lot harder to do that on an emergency type action. And so I want to get ahead of these replacements before they're needing to happen, and wanted to keep that water replacement in the scope And also, lead services are required to be replaced by 2037. And so we replace any lead services that we come by during construction as well. And with that would be the water portion or the utility portion. Street portion would be resurfacing of the parking lanes. They're past their useful life, and you don't want brand new street down the middle and old falling parking lanes along the side. So the parking lanes be resurfaced, tree grates being replaced, adding the flashing pedestrian sign at both First and Third or Fourth, excuse me, and then also replacing the tree grates. So this would be a 2031 project, but the DOT has asked that that the board take action on the scoping items, and then they'll be putting together an agreement that will come to you either in July or August, solidifying that we want to include certain items in their project.
Brad, you've in the past, one thing, Eric, in the past, Brad's mentioned a potential movement of the crosswalk with the new Cascade Falls. This would be a good time to put that into it. So I think we should talk about moving the crosswalk in the 2031 project.
We could certainly do that. We've, engaged with the DOT on moving that crosswalk and what the best options are there. It certainly sets up perfectly with this type of project, resurfacing. They also update any curb ramps that aren't ADA compatible. There'll be some curb work that's done as well. So tying in, removing the crosswalk and adding a crosswalk are exactly the type of scoping items that would be available, I guess, to the village.
Yeah, so just so the rest of the board understands, once they finish the stairs, the weekend after it opened, I sat down at Mill Pond Park for a good 2-3 hours just watching traffic, and 100 people crossed somewhere between the crosswalk that exists and the Watershed Cafe, not in the crosswalk. And so that's what prompted me to contact the Wisconsin DOT and say, hey, we've made a major traffic pattern change with moving our stairs to a new location. We need to talk about moving that crosswalk that is currently on the north end of First Avenue to the south side of that intersection. So still at the same intersection, just crossing at the Mill Pond Park side of it versus what used to be the NOAA insurance building. I don't know what it is. It's still that building now, yeah, on that side, because it doesn't make any sense anymore. So, and they said, sure, but you'll be bearing the cost of the new ramped curb that you have to install at the new location and replacing yeah, and then replacing the sidewalk that abutted the old crosswalk, that are
30,000 to dig out 2 sidewalks and put in ramps.
yeah.
Okay, I've done it for way
So-
less than that.
And so, but then this topic came to bear at 2031, and I said, okay, well, then we just loop it into the highway resurfacing and do it then. So,
If you added flashing lights, I could see that maybe.
yeah, so talk to me about the RF or the RRFBs, like how much are those each? Are they on the breakdown?
They should be on the breakdown. So we got a cost estimate from the DOT, and they'll see if I can get to that. But those, someone just last year, and it was about 15,000 for just the signs and electrical crosswalk was already there.
10,000 each, 2 each for a total of 20. Is that what I see?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So that's a CIP item. We would definitely have to factor that in. So, I mean, if that's something we would
Or
want
part
to
of a borrow for this project.
right? If that's something that would want to be done. So the community
This
has
is a
talked about it.
2031 project that we pay for in
Yeah,
2031.
With a borrow or whatever, yes.
Just to understand sources, and I just want to make sure I'm reading this right. So in your memo, I see estimated cost water main and services is 965,000, and then WISDOT surface improvements is $1 million. Is the suggestion that we're going to incorporate the 1.9 million total into the CIP and we're gonna pay it out of the CIP, or this is new money that we're somehow gonna get to do this?
It'll have to be a borrow.
So,
And Eric, go ahead
Yeah.
about the borrowing aspect of it.
well, I was just gonna note that the water and sewer is clear cut. That's, the utilities responsibility. There are portions that are in that $1 million estimate from the DOT that are also the utilities responsibility, that are outside of the scope of items that would be from the general fund or public works budget. So, but yeah, Devin's right. So it fits into the CIP, but it's still borrow.
We would have to regard it as a borrow kind of separate from the CIP that year.
Like we've done in the past, we've put portions of a project in the CIP and we borrow for the remaining because there's other revenue sources paying for it too. So
if our debt capacity is about to cap out,
no, our debt capacity is not about to cap out.
okay, so put another way, if we were to do the borrow in 2030, we would be raising the debt levy to achieve the borrow and just essentially directly levying the costs on to taxpayers at that point, right?
Well, it's probably going to be a 15-20 year thing, so it's going to be a relatively low payment per year. Without knowing what growth is going to be and bringing us to bear, I can't speak to that number off the top of my head.
But we're being asked to kind of commit to a borrow in 2031 in August.
We're being asked to commit to projects that we might do, the scope that we might want to do.
So we're not committing to everything.
We could back out in
Back out.
2030 and say, never mind, we don't want to incur the expenses here. We're not ready to levy these taxes.
Eric, heard that comment?
I did, I don't know if you could, so what's gonna happen next, as I mentioned earlier, is that they're gonna put together an agreement, and it's gonna outline these things that the costs that the village is gonna be responsible for. And so I can get an early, canned version of that agreement and read through it of what your options are for.
Yeah, I need to run it by
for
Baird.
backing out.
I need to run it by Baird too to see what the financial impact's going to be.
Yeah, I think
I would be
before,
unprepared to do anything.
before we go any
until
further,
that.
just look at what the summary of the recommended village improvements are. So they're saying we need to do the water main and the lead service line replacement. Like that's gonna be on utilities. I mean, Rick, are you still here? Is something you're planning on doing?
Well, I can speak to that a little bit. So just for what Eric, probably, I'll just go on. So Eric, I can get him on it too. So, the original project started, you heard about the concrete. The 4 million was just in concrete. That didn't cover anything else. And we said, yeah, we're not doing that. We heard from Public Works, who was interested in doing the drive lanes. We don't want to pave with brand new pavement over old water main that we know has to go.
Right.
It just seems like a bad idea, right?
Right.
Part of that lead and copper requirement is that we have to pothole all of those services. So we also don't want to pothole a brand new road because the village is covering the costs of those drive lanes. We don't want to come back later and drill down and look at them and then have little holes all over the place. So the utility side of that, were we looking at that? Like, is that a huge priority for us? We have other priorities, but at the same time, we're not going to just pave over, 1917 water main and not address it at that time. That's bad money, so that's kind of where we're at with it. So if
To appease my own brain because it's running, the state's gonna cover from the center stripe 10, 20 feet each way.
Drive
We're
lanes.
covering the balance up to the curb.
parking lanes, yep.
The parking lanes,
I've
yeah.
never heard it called a parking lane before. So.
And so, Brad, I suppose to your point,
Thought it was
the
passing.
965 would be borrowing done within the utility world.
Yeah, it's not
and
our
would
money.
be rate payer.
It's not our money. It's rate paid money. Yeah.
So from a borrowing perspective for the village, we're more focused on the one. which
Yeah,
could go
we're
down.
looking at the next four bullets
could
on
be
there,
put
which is
into-
yep.
Some of it could be put into the CIP.
Correct.
Just to
Yeah,
be
the tree
specific
grate
about what we're talking
replacement would
about.
be a CIP item, I would think.
Mhm.
Even the Fourth Avenue curb ramp bump outs could probably be built into the CIP. And the flashing lights, but the parking lane resurfacing, like that big that's gonna have to be debt. Like we would borrow for that, kind of like how we had to borrow to knock down the milk house, and now we're paying that off. We're making that payment every month.
Keep in mind, most of this, I mean, assuming our TID district does look good, we could look at the possibility of that too for a funding source.
Yeah.
Assuming we have growth in the TID.
Yeah,
because
if that goes, yeah.
If there is growth in the TID, we also have an opportunity to finance it through the TID too.
Yeah, the village has not done a large debt loan like this in a really long time. Like it was essentially I don't even know when the last time they did it was. It was probably the early 2010s when they did the downtown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a huge project.
Yeah, and that's paid off by now. So, it's gonna be a 20-year note that we will borrow to resurface our parking lanes because we don't want to look like idiots leaving crappy looking park lanes when they have a fresh new highway. It's like, why didn't you do them at the same time? Like we can move other things backwards to do that.
At the same time, why did you pay?
Yeah, why
over
did
the
you put over, yeah, all your,
water
over
main,
120-year-old?
So
Yeah.
it was something that we reflected in the CIP. It was later on down the line. This is going to bump that up to 2031 because I think this original project was 2034, 2030. Do you remember, Eric? And then they basically came to us and said, hey, we're going to do these other projects. We want to bump this. We want to make this sooner. So that's kind of why you're seeing it now versus the original dates.
It's been an expedited timeline too.
Yeah.
Help me understand the total borrow, because I'm seeing
The village would be taking debt out for about $1 million.
what's the next page? It talks about a bunch of water stuff for 2 million.
76.
DOT project South 35, Osceola, yeah, with all the highlighting.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
that just a recap of another number on another page?
This page right here, Devin.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Eric, they have,
Is that just a breakdown?
Well, the numbers don't match, and that's where I'm
Yeah.
kind of
I was
scratching my
also
head.
confused by what it meant.
Eric, it's the opinion of probable cost.
Yeah, so that's where we have the sewer in it. So we just did the one estimate with water and sewer in it. And then, basically after we talked about it more, the DOT cherry picked out the 965,000 basically to do the water.
And that's the highlighted part is the 965?
The red, yeah.
Or-
And then that red text that looks like it was added after.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're essentially gonna do the highlighted things. That's your $1 million
That's
bucks.
Well,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
I'm following, no thanks.
that's for the water project.
Yeah, that's the utility project. That whole chart is
That's
utility
utility.
project.
I think the pavement, if I'm understanding it right, is the next bland looking thing.
It includes it, yep.
Exclusively black and white,
This one.
the non-highlighted.
No, it's what script is that? It's rolled.
I don't know.
There's your $1 million.
That's from the DOT.
That's your DOT budget.
It's very typewriter.
Very different.
Typewriter,
So
that's what I'm
I
looking at.
guess my position, I'm willing to consider this. I would like to see it in the context of the CIP because I think that's important to know, like what we would be shifting.
Well,
Right, that's what I'm thinking. yeah.
2031 is not even in our illustrative CIP right now.
Yeah,
because we
it's
go 5
outside
years.
of the illustrative
We go
at the
5
moment.
years.
To what
Well, it said
Rick
it was
just
in
said,
illustrative.
this is all good things that we should do. It would be silly not to do it. And if you asked anybody when they drive up 35 north of town, what would they complain about? It's the pothole at 8th that everybody hits. And then every time we see you dig in there and then we hit that pothole somewhere around 5th or 6th Street. So yeah, I would like to find out if we can back out of this, but considering how far out it is, I think we need to start planning more than a year or two. And this is,
Yeah, is there anything else that we would want to do aside from these additional 4 items?
considering you've given me 10 minutes to think about it, no.
Well, that's just, I mean, this doesn't need to be the only month that we discuss it, like it's the first time we're seeing it.
Have to be a voted on.
No, it's not an
tonight
emotionable
or
item, it's
anything like-
discussion.
The
so.
DOT want our answer in May, like a week after they gave us to this.
Yeah, well, of course they do.
No.
For $4 million of concrete.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I was gonna
Right,
bring
Yeah,
this up at new business, but I think I'm gonna
Yep, it's
throw it out there now. If they're gonna be resurfacing Highway 35 in front of where the milk house used to be, can we get them to evaluate that it's a good decision to put new blacktop there without shoring up that hillside?
I've been a firm believer that they are 30% a cause of why that happened. The vibration and the fact that that road has not really had a decent rebuild in forever. I'd love to see us push a traffic engineer to get in and look at that.
Would be a good idea.
I've had that stance since the time it moved.
Yep.
Like, I don't know that it was any one person's fault.
No, it's not any one person's fault, but if they're gonna, like Rick's saying, it'd be stupid to put new blacktop on top of Old Pike. Well, it'd be stupid to put new blacktop on on a road that's gonna continue vibrating down the hill.
Yeah, it might be worth to talk to the DOT and say, hey, can you please make sure that an engineer evaluates
Let's
this?
all go move some more rock down the hill to
Yeah.
make it look even worse.
Because they don't
than
know,
it already
like,
is.
they've not been out here to look at that since
Yeah.
that building was taken down. They
Cut
don't
the
know
cable holding
what's
the tree
currently
up.
happening on that hillside.
Say it out loud, Mike.
I know, in terms of the things,
Generating money I was talking about.
in terms of the things that you've suggested, I think these are all reasonable. We may get pushback on whether or not it's prudent to spend $20,000 on 2 flashing lights, but maybe not. I don't know. Depends on what the public thinks about that. To date, I don't think, and AJ, you can corroborate this, we have not had a pedestrian injured in a crosswalk in Osceola. Is that correct?
No.
That's right.
I mean, the whole time, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I think-
In recent memory. And all the pedestrian versus vehicle injuries we've had have been outside of a crosswalk.
So far, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Just
that's
to-
anecdotal good information.
Well, it's
I mean, it's go in the crosswalk.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that it speaks to the argument of we need lights to bring visibility to the crosswalks. Well,
It can't hurt.
No,
it won't hurt, but does it help to the degree that we need to do it? I don't know that we do.
I will touch on though, if you guys are referring to Cascade Street south of First Avenue, I don't think moving a crosswalk 30 feet is gonna make much of a difference.
To the other side of the intersection?
There's a natural influx of people that cross that street to get to the cafe.
Okay.
I understand that, the falls, you guys might think it's, an added factor, but there's always gonna be people that park by Mill Pond and cross to get.
By 2031, I hope we have 2 more parking lots behind there.
Maybe.
And then maybe we can have a different conversation.
Eric,
Makes sense.
Eric, are we looking for a motion tonight?
Yeah, I would like a motion if possible to include the summary of recommended village improvements, those 5 bullet points. Just so that the DOT has something to move forward with their planning and eventual agreement.
And
Do
we're
we have the
locked
option to add or remove at any point in the future?
We could talk to him about that.
in. Yeah,
I
we
mean, you're-
locked in at those 5 bullet points.
It's kind of a big project to
I'm
just
gonna-
give
I'm
us
gonna-
10 minutes on.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote no for a motion. Whatever comes on the table, I want another month to wait, and I want to hear some more information about, can we back out of it? Can we add a slew of things?
Can we make
And
a
it-
motion to table until
Do you know what the structure is of this agreement once it goes? Is it an MOU that is signed between the village and the WISTOD? Is that what that is, or?
It is, it's a formal agreement that they do with communities where the highways pass through.
Okay, then
Doing improvements like
rather
this.
than offer a motion, I think that we would like to direct the DOT to send out an engineer to evaluate the hillside and answer our questions about whether or not we have the opportunity to add or remove items anytime before this is offered. This
If that needs
MOU
a
is
motion,
offered.
I'll make it.
We don't need to do anything. We can
I-
just, that's the feedback we're giving. is-
Direction to staff.
Yeah.
I'd also like to add, something from Baird. I want to hear about
Financial
financial aspects of it.
How it would be funded.
Yep. Because we
Wow.
haven't
That will
seen that
require
yet.
quite a bit of supposition.
I'm not
Because you're
worried
gonna be
about-
looking at potential TID profits and I don't know.
I think
can-
it's
I wanna see
hearing that
some-
we're
I wanna
interested,
just
but we
see
want more information, and he can tell the
something.
DOT that.
Yeah.
And that, considering their poor planning, they can work with it.
Yeah, they need to look at that hillside though. Like that is no brainer.
If we need something sooner, we'll
More shingles on the
let
house.
DOT
Yeah. Also, are they aware that this is happening less than 3 years from the damn bridge being closed? Like, that's not cool.
That was something that was in their conversation.
Yeah, that's not cool at all.
And that's why they like backed it up, because. like,
They made it
it's
closer
just-
because of that?
It's just something to do with it, because it was originally in 2034 and it was so far away. We were like,
2060?
let's talk a little bit more about it and answer some of these questions, but they wanted this like yesterday. you know?
I don't like that.
They're redoing the Highway 8 bridge sometime after this.
Yeah.
Until they find more bats.
Yeah.
Until
Oh,
they,
no.
until they find more bats.
If you look at the DOT's website, there's the whole, our whole area has stage projects.
It does,
And
I
they
know.
keep moving and they're,
Well, that's why,
I'm sure they have the LRAP things or whatever it is where they judge their roads and they
Yep.
reassess every year. Maybe they just reassessed ours and said it's gonna get worse.
yeah,
Get a new bridge, we'll get more traffic.
which will make the hillside slide even more.
Yes.
Okay, so we got a direction then. Eric, did you hear that direction?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, I'm clear.
Just so you and me know what we're doing next.
Okay, all right, moving on. Let's go to 6D, Cascade Falls project discussion and pay application number 4 to Pember.
Eric, you're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
He's in Canada.
Okay.
He's got a vacation. Yeah, tonight, Drew Lind from MSA is here to have discussion on the final pay application for Pember. I'd like to provide a little update on the Cascade Falls project. The village of Osceola, we were aware of concerns regarding the Cascade Falls project. They were part of the punch list items that we did reach out to Pember for doing. At no time did village staff or village contractors feel that the stairs were not secure or were unsafe. The project is currently and still is in the punch list phase, which is a standard stage of the construction, during which the deficiencies and incomplete items will be corrected, along with the issues that need to be addressed. And we do, all these items have to be completed before we have final project acceptance. MSA is the engineer on staff and is in charge of the project, overseeing Pember and all their subs. Village staff takes public safety seriously and will continue to monitor the project closely throughout completion process. Any condition determined to be present immediately safety concerns will be addressed promptly. At this time, the project team has not identified any condition requiring closure of the facilities. The village appreciates the community's attention to this project and encourage all visitors to follow posted signage, exercise caution in the construction areas, refrain from tampering with project materials, and allow contractors the space necessary to complete the project. The village remains committed to ensuring all work is complete to the required standards before final acceptance of the project.
Thanks, Stefan. Good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know, my name is Drew Lind, work for MSA Professional Services, and I'm on a public works service line. I'm also the project engineer and one of the village engineers. Today, I would like to facilitate some discussion, and then we could possibly take action on Pay App 4 that I have presented here. So before we start in discussion, I would, like feedback from Mr. Lutz, how he'd like to handle this. Would the board like to prompt me on concerns they already have, or would they like me to go through concerns that I believe I can address and that have already been brought to my attention from the public?
I think I'd like to go board member by board member and let them inquire as to any concerns they have. And then if there's still additional narrative that you'd like to provide after all the board members have exhausted, then you can provide that narrative and then we can move to the final discussion. We'll start with Nicole.
One of the bigger concerns I have are the loose bolts, and I don't know if it just seems odd to me that they would become loose so quickly and fall off. So I'm wondering if we can have a solution for that in the future, if that's a tampering thing, if that's a mechanical thing, if that's I don't know, but I don't think bolts should be coming off for,
Yeah, definitely concern, Nicole.
yeah.
During our punch list walkthrough, which Devin, Todd, myself, Mr. Lutz was there, the Pember, the contractor was there. During that walkthrough, there were bolts that were loose or missing at that time. It was brought up to Pember, and they said they would address it. I believe they addressed it a week later from us bringing up the concern. Since that time, since the time that they've sent a crew to the site to tighten all the hardware, inspect for general safety, as our contractor is currently in charge of safety and holds this that liability risk in that project site. They have come back to the site three other additional times to find that the hardware has either been, some of the hardware has been removed, some of it has been loose again. And this last time, which was this past Friday, they made the statement to me that we believe we've had to tighten or reinstall around 100 bolts on the project site, and they were skeptical of vandalism. At the time, I can't confirm that there was any vandalism, but as I review the site today, I can confirm there has been vandalism to the job site. I'm working with the contractor to basically permanently fix the hardware there so that it can't be removed. I do need Todd's approval on the solution though. So we are taking action right now, making sure it's harder to remove the bolts. Before I make it permanent though, I'm gonna get Todd's approval, so.
So is that welding? Are we welding the bolts? Are
That's
we-
an option.
Okay.
I would have to work through the costs with Pember companies. Pember has already decided to basically mar or deform the threads on the bolts that have been coming loose. There's some other products we can install on the bolts too, but yeah, working through that still, working on a solution so that way when our contractor leaves the job site, there will be minimal maintenance for Todd. That's the goal. Valid concern, and like I saw the concerned residents showing us the hardware being loose or missing, and yeah, very bad look. There is one thing I could touch on, and that is a misunderstanding of our residents of where we are at in the project, and that has came from us allowing access to a project that's not complete. And I understand that impression that the village allowed. The reason the village didn't make comment about, hey, the stairs are open on our webpage, that was based on my direction. And as Pember is allowing access to the job site and to all of our residents, if the village made comment on their website or even released something, we are enabling liability to come back to us, that we are allowing the public to go down there. So it is, in this situation, since final completion hasn't been reached, it's best to not promote or publicly make statements saying, all residents, please go down the stairs. If we got into a lawsuit, Pember would use that against us, even though they are responsible, right? When lawyers get involved, they'll use anything and everything saying they told us to do this. So, I take responsibility for if that was miscommunication or withholding information, but I believe I made that decision in the best interest of this community. So that's where I'm at there.
And then Andy, do we have anything like cameras or anything pointed that direction that we can kind of monitor?
We can certainly utilize our condor camera, but all that's gonna show is people
Coming up and down?
towards the entrance of the staircase.
I'm just worried about the whole vandalism part. That's
Yeah, we're aware of the concerns, and, as we have time, we try to get out of the car and check on it, but it is a secluded area.
Yep, we're working on a solution though.
okay. That was my main one.
Thank you, Nicole. Arvin?
Have you got any concerns, Drew, with the alignment of the handrails eventually being
as we go down the stairs, Mr. Mackey. Yeah, I am concerned of that. It's on the punch list. It still remains on the punch list as of today as an outstanding item. Our subcontractor Superior Iron, they're supplying Pembroke companies with basically some plates or shims to deal with that alignment, and it should be reconciled. I haven't heard any feedback from our contractor saying we're not going to do that. We're not going to take care of it. And I have faith in Pembroke. The past jobs that I've worked on, they may make mistake, they may take longer, but they always leave the job with the work completed. So I have faith that they will continue to work on it.
That was one of the main items we brought up the punch list, was making sure that those are straight.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we're working on it. Yeah.
Good. Tony?
Thanks for coming up here and taking some heat from us. Appreciate that. Owning up to some responsibility. I guess the only thing I was looking for was, what's one of the things you guys discovered that made you think it was vandalism?
So somebody has already been graffitiing like a light pole base that we have on the bottom of the stairs. And as like last week, for example, we tightened the hardware on Tuesday. Then we had a superintendent review it from Pember's doing this. Thursday, he reviewed it all. He took notes saying, yep, it's all there. Then Friday, a colleague of mine, an inspector of mine, go to the job site and see that hardware is missing. So I would understand if somehow the bolts are loosening and they're still there, or they lay on the ground, but they don't, grow legs and run away or be thrown away.
They're
by
just being
themselves.
taken.
Yeah, they're being taken or thrown away. And yeah, if I wanted to vandalize the site, if I wanted to remove the hardware, I would take it and throw it, or put it in my pocket. So they're leaving. So yeah, that's how I confirmed it. That the hardware is leaving, and then also some basically graffiti at the bottom of the stairs. There's some, apparent vandalism there.
Yeah, I've seen the garbage can and the pole, and I was out there scraping off the railings. It didn't take long.
No, didn't take long.
I think it'd be nice to have a camera down there to see things like that. I don't know if that's within our scope, but the other thing I noticed was some orange. I don't know what kind of material it was, but it looked like it may have been jammed into some gaps to close those gaps.
Of the stairs, on the stairs.
In the structural part.
Okay. Could have been orange flagging, inspector saying you need to work here. That could have been the case, just to get their attention. I believe that's what it was, Tony. So just a communication tool, as you can print off a piece of paper and tell construction workers what to do. It's another thing to just, exactly prompt them, you need to do this.
Sure.
So yeah, communication is difficult in construction. Currently, it was in the past. It's difficult. So we try to do as much as we can to, help them resolve the issue. So.
I had some other questions about footings, but I don't know enough to talk about it. So if you guys.
If you have questions on footings, you can answer them.
Yeah, I could start my spiel about footings for you, Tony. So the footings, they do have some history. The design of the footings were to install them in a plumb or direct manner. Now, when the contractor was hand digging or using an auger to dig all of these footings, they came across scenarios where there was bedrock at a vertical plane, because there's limestone bedrock down there, or there is subsurface obstructions such as big pit run boulder, big rock that you'd see in a pit somewhere. And so these footings on average, they're 7 feet deep. So as you dig a hole, like I'm sure you've dug a hole for posts or something, you find boulder down there, and then they decided to shift the base over a little bit to allow there to be the required amount of concrete in the base, a typical plumb base. But then as we got to the surface, to get to the required layout location of the base plate of our stairs, those sonotubes or concrete bases were then tapered to meet the design layout location. So that's why some of them were installed at an angle. Maybe that's still concerning to you. The contractor made them extra big. So the diameter required is 12 inches. Pember supplied us with 18-inch bases. Through their process, they were required by me to remove around 20 of these bases and redo them. As I've worked with Pember in the past, there is some remove and replace happened on every job. So I'm just giving that for background. So they had to remove at least 20 of the bases. And then Pember and Superior Iron, they did supply us with more structural bases or more foundational bases than required by my design. So they have increased the quantity of bases and the size of them to minimize any risk associated with the structural. So currently, the village has reached out to me and I've reached out to them, asked for a statement, basically structural integrity, just to dot all of our I's, let their structural engineer comment on it, give a statement. And as we talk about pay app tonight, if the board wishes to approve, I would, request that we say that we approve it contingent on receiving a statement from our contractor Pember, as it's still pending. So, but yeah, there was a reason why they were installed plumb. They have not been shifting from or falling away or moving from my visual inspection. How I can tell is that, the base plate can still meet the existing layout, or the top of the concrete base is still at the base plate location. MSA and Pember, we surveyed the top of all those concrete bases. So we have a year warranty on all this work. Let's say there's issue, MSA can go out there and monitor and verify, has this thing moved? Does it need to be redone?
Well, theoretically, if it is shifting, would that be something that could cause 100 bolts to loosen and wiggle around?
Yeah, if the structure is moving, the bolts could be loosening. Could be.
All right.
If there's any concern, the village could prompt me, and I send survey team out there to verify, check, monitor.
And I'm not saying that it's not because of vandalism.
Mhm.
I just don't know that if we equate some tagging to structural damage, I guess, I don't know. It seems like a different ball field.
I would agree, and I'm
Bolts
not.
missing is kind of a big thing, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out why there's so many.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
Okay. Do you want to do Neil next?
Killing me. That way.
We'll just skip Mike altogether. No, I'm just kidding.
I might be more kind of procedurally minded because I'm not a construction guy. I send emails for a living, so I defer to others on construction related things. I think that one of the things that bothered me about the way that this was done, and I agree that I think the public conflated access with the project being complete, which I don't think obviously was accurate. And we moved to have the stairs open because it is important to downtown and to the community that the stairs are open. And so I want to acknowledge that that's the why behind, I think, the decisions that you made and that Devin asked you to make, and that the why the schedule was the way the schedule was. So that all being said, I got a little nervous because it seemed like, as it was kind of unfolding over the last 2 weeks, there had been, some initial communication that it's still in the punch list phase. But then I kind of got the sense that there were things being identified potentially by the public that were being added to the punch list. And so what I'm hoping you can do for me is explain, were the issues that were identified by the public all issues that you had already identified, or were there issues that the public had identified that had been missed in kind of initial inspections? And the reason I'm asking that is because I am by default prone to trusting the hired professionals that we have to do these kinds of complicated projects. My trust was shaken because it seemed like there was some evolution in what things were being put on a punch list, and that there were things being raised to view by the public that hadn't been on. I would struggle to believe that they weren't on, but that was kind of the impression I got from some of the communication. So can you
Yes, I'll give
alleviate
you
those
some
concerns or tell
back-
me?
I'll do the best I can for you, Neil. So we issued punch list on Friday, and then we give the village 2 weeks to basically make comment. And hindsight's 2020, and when you're walking up and down the job, maybe you miss something. So then we have a period so that the owner can comment to incorporate anything into this list. And so when that period ended, the list was encompassing of Facebook's concerns. Then 2 days later, Mike, he sends email to Devin, supplying me with 3 more concerns, and that's appropriate communication. Any stakeholder or board member can add anything to the punch list through Devin, and immediately the 3 items were added to the punch list, Mike or Neil. So the answer is yes. The punch list encompasses 90% of the public's concerns that I'm aware of. Mike brought 3 other concerns up to my attention, and they were added to the list. So did that answer it, Neil? I mean, the list can be evolving because I have all these statements in our spec that say this is not all encompassing, and even if I write the list wrong, you're still hold to our contract to do all this work. So yeah.
And again, I just wanted to understand, I think from a process perspective, how that works, and to also express that my confidence was shaken when it felt like there were things that had been missed in that initial walkthrough. And that was really bothersome to me because I think we're here to govern largely. And when confidence gets shaken in the details, then it invites us into that space. And that's a space that I certainly am not particularly expert in. And so I get nervous when projects move in that way. So,
yep, I was shaken up about it too, Neil. But at the position I'm in is that if the community has anything to say about this project and it's still in a project phase, please let me know or let Devin know, and it will be addressed immediately. I take great pride in the work that I do. So does our contractor, Pembroke Companies. Can't speak on behalf of their subcontractors and whatnot, but we are all aiming to please. So, and that I believe is Joe Pember, the project manager's position as well.
that was all I had.
I appreciate it, Neil.
Thanks.
You're up, Mike.
Really? Okay, so I'm going to qualify this first. I did the math. I've been doing this for 29 years in construction. It's not just electrical. I've dealt with bridges. I've dealt with MnDOT stuff. I've done structural steel. So when I'm going to ask you some questions, it's coming from real life experience. Okay. I've never seen an extended punch list process like you're explaining. I acknowledge that there's a period where everybody assembles their punch list items. You give it to the contractor. The worst thing for a contractor is have this bleeding where you keep coming back where somebody keeps thinking about stuff. Because contractually, there's usually 2 firm dates, substantial and final completion. They cost money sometimes, like we did here with liquidated damages. Just to have this moving, there's no teeth in it. So I challenge that statement that this is growing. I feel like there's some backpedaling and people are finding things and addressing them. You don't have to acknowledge it one way or the other. I'm skeptical.
Valid, Mike.
If the stair wasn't, I heard you say at the beginning of this, if the stair wasn't safe, if it wasn't ready for the public, then I don't feel it melts substantial completion. So I'm challenging that argument. I've also seen the same bolt loose the 3 or 4 times I've been down there. So I'm challenging his process of tightening. In my industry, we have a process where we actually they make a paint, like a paint pen, you'll put it over the bolt and you hit the nut and the threads so that you can tell if it comes off. I looked through your spec. I couldn't find anything like that. I also think, and one of the questions I had for him was delegated design. There's a certain portion of this that moves from his design to the manufacturer that creates the product and says that, okay, I'm going to sell you this product, but you have to assemble it my way. There's a gap here in what you've got to where the Superior Steel has. And it gets into some of the structural parts of it, the bolts, the processes of like, how do you tighten it? You know, just, I don't want to say this is just like buying an IKEA furniture, but you don't just get a furniture and have to figure out how to put it together yourself. It comes with directions and it tells you what hardware. I couldn't find hardware anywhere in there. And I have to believe that that other engineer that stamped that had to have something to say about the hardware, and you didn't leave it up to Joe Pember. In that process, it had to, I mean, you suggested stainless bolts, but somebody has to say, assemble it with washers, put it to a certain torque setting, you know, have a process of assembling it. I couldn't find that anywhere there. I'm going to keep going from the top of the stairs down. I saw in one of the punch list items, there was a comment about the splatter of concrete onto the railing. Did that get addressed? I think it's signed off on the punch list.
That's how I recall it, Mike. Yes.
Okay, then we should back charge Joe Pember because I have a video today of our staff down there painting that railing. When you put sod and seed in and stuff, there's usually a process where until it becomes all of us to own, it needs to be maintained. Do you know what your requirement is for sod and seed?
For the watering, or I remember 4 watering events that need to.
I found 30 days and it looks really dry. I'd argue nobody's watered it.
Understood, Mike.
The slope on the backside of the overlook area, it's got a fabric on it. I couldn't see any seed in it. You can see seed over on the other side. I can't see any seed in there.
Got it.
The railing. So mid last week, it looked like somebody put JB Weld on it.
Yeah, that compound. Yeah.
Okay. Was that in your spec?
No, it is not. And the contractor was notified that they decided to proceed with their fix.
So they fixed it without a submittal, without a procedure.
That's true.
It's cracked already.
And the current, basically resolution is that Todd was off last week. Todd already brought it up to my attention saying this is unacceptable.
Is it on your punch list?
Yeah, to fix the railing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a vague statement that Joe just understands that we have to fix railing, whether it's the compound that's cracking, the alignment issues. Joe just automatically knows all this stuff.
The railing specifically is, I understood it was on the punch list. I could be wrong, but it has been a 2 or 3 weeks long topic to resolve this
Yeah,
issue.
I'm surprised Superior Iron doesn't have, again, a installation procedure policy design in the delegated design that tells them how to assemble these joints.
Yeah.
Because initially when they came, they looked like they had some kind of a slip joint.
That's still
like the
there.
railing on top, but now because of the alignment, they just decided to fill it with putty.
Yeah, the joints on our railing, they are supposed to be welded on site.
It's usually welding and Bondo and paint.
So
And so he didn't do what your spec says.
That's
And
true.
he doesn't have a delegated design telling him how to do it.
so American Fence did our railing, and they do have delegated design telling how they do that.
Which was weld?
They did, yes, that's true, and I could share it with you, Mike, but they didn't follow that. My process right now is, I'm going to review it with Todd, make sure he's still unhappy, which I'm hearing you're not happy about it, and I am to please, so we can do something about this. And then, we will resolve the issue. The contractor basically continued on their own path. One observation I have about American Fence is some portions of the fence, they're on their 3rd try on certain portions of the fence. If Todd was here, he could comment on his inspections and watching that crew worked. But I don't have high things to say
I
about.
saw they put in two of the drop pin locks.
Yep.
There's no locking mechanism on it. It's a way to close the gate, but it's no way to lock it. So people can't just open it.
Yeah, wasn't the original punch list to say that there would be a U fork, right?
There's a U, but you can lift it. You know, I would like to think that there's somewhere buried in here, it's either a design on your end, a narrative in a spec, or a detail in a shop drawing that tells them what to do.
Yeah, for the
And somebody-
locking mechanism, the village will supply the chain and the padlock.
I don't even know how we would chain it though.
No,
That's-
there's nothing to tie it to. It's a straight pull right now.
You could wrap one piece to the other and the pin could just hold it in place. But I'd like to think, again, there's either a description in your spec.
Yeah.
There's a detail in a plan of yours, or there's a approved shop drawing process. Or work by owner.
Yep, and the assembly that's on the gate, it was not approved by me.
Yeah.
It was just furnished on the site, and I'm not excusing our subcontractor. I am just explaining my observations with them of
Yes.
them trying to do anything to just see if it
Yes.
sticks.
It-
And it's been some sections 3 tries, and so it's gonna be continuously tries unless we believe the work that they cannot complete, and we need to, withhold their payments.
So on
or-
a base installation,
deduct.
they drill the hole, they drop in a rebar cage, the rebar cage gets tied together. It's got verticals, it's got circles in it, right?
That's true.
It becomes the concrete and the steel as a whole provides the structure, right? The strength of it. One of the comments that I made to him that I don't know that it's been addressed is they cut the top off of a bunch of them and it starts to expose the rebar. That's not a coated rebar. As soon as it gets exposed to the elements, it's gonna start rust and it blows that base apart. There's maybe an epoxy involved there, but the other comment is on the base plates. There's a process called grouting where you'll take an extra concrete material and you'll fill in around the outside to help water go away from it. Somebody looks like they knew what they were doing. Somebody looks like the kids I hung out in middle school that made spit wads with paper.
Saw those.
If you read if it's not in his spec, if it's not in delegated design, if it's not on the plan, there's manufacturer's requirements on how you do things. You look at the back of the bag of grout and go, this is what I need to do, or it falls apart. That base, unless they take it apart, chisel the grout out, and find some way to epoxy maybe over it, I don't know how that base will ever hold up.
Like a comment, Mike, the rebar was epoxy coated. It still does not resolve the issue that
It's
we
not
cut.
epoxy coated anymore.
Yeah, that we cut through it. Right now, those bases are on the punch list to be patched.
So you, in your design, I did find that there's 2 inches of coverage. So I'm confused how you're gonna get 2 inches of coverage on top of a base that already had to be cut down because it was too high.
It doesn't follow the spec anymore, Mike.
Yeah. When you drill an anchor bolt into something, we've all done woodwork. You take a screw and you put it in the edge of something, it blows that out. It's the same thing with the concrete. So these are drop-in or epoxy anchors.
Yeah, we drilled the space for them, and then I recall, a minimal of a 12-inch long concrete or steel anchor bolt. Some of them are 2 feet long.
Okay, so there's anchor bolts in there that don't have, again, if it's not in his plan, if it's not in the delegated design, it could be in the manufacturer's requirement or in the front of the spec. There's a whole series of external references. 2 inches of coverage is probably the bare minimum that I found anywhere. And there's anchors that are in there that are closer than 2 inches to the edge. So if it isn't gonna rust, if you didn't have it cut off at the top, the chances are it's gonna blow out the side, or it doesn't provide any structural support. There's just a whole lot of quality control things where you can just look at it and go, this ain't right. I really struggle with this idea that somehow Joe seems to think that there's a couple of kids down there with 2 3/4 inch bolts or wrenches that have somehow loosened stuff
They're
up.
huge. These bolts are huge.
They're 3/4 to an inch bolt. And there's one in there that I actually wanted to bring a nut to the meeting tonight. I couldn't get it off because I couldn't get
But you weren't touching it, Mike.
What's that?
You weren't down there touching the project.
I was down there today looking at it to
Yep,
see what
just
was
looking.
loose and what was tight. Okay. There's plenty that I could hand move.
Mhm.
So call it part of my punch list. Sure, I was down there. I didn't take any out.
Mhm.
But to that point though, I don't know how Pembroke could have got in and tightened it without a decent set of tools, let alone a couple of people that wanted to vandalize. So I question that answer. There was there's bases down there that are covered with dirt that you could argue that, I mean, you look at it and there's no reasonable contractor that would do it that way.
Mhm.
It looks like it was just laziness. You could argue that, they are stainless bolts, the concrete is exposed to dirt, it's fine. But is the steel rated to be exposed to, or the aluminum, whatever the substructure is that going to be rated to be in contact with the earth perpetually?
Yeah, that's
I
been
would-
added to the list.
I would
Mike.
suggest that's probably not going to happen either. Yeah, I mean, I gave you three, and I think I qualified that email as these were three obvious ones. I think there's, going back to my original statement, that punch list isn't complete. It ain't right. It should have never opened. And I remember, who was Angela? I remember telling Angela at one of my first meetings, when we buy a project like this, we're buying a set of plans, we're buying a set of specs, we're buying product data, we're buying installation, we're buying a product, and we're buying a quality installed project and a warranty. And we can get hardly any of that on this one. It sure looks pretty, but it's lipstick on a pig.
I see, Mike.
I don't want to pay him a nickel today. There's too much. We could go walk that and I could find something new every time.
If you wish to not pay the contractor, you just have to have reason, and then Devin has to write a letter to Pembroke Companies why you wish to not pay them. We can have further discussion on that when we're done. with the discussion.
One other closing thought too. Moving forward, I would really, and this isn't against MSA. This goes back to my comments to Angela, MSA, and
SEH.
Eric at SEH. I really think we need to revisit how we manage projects, and we need a third party to do it. We need somebody else to look back, because we've essentially got the fox watching the hen house.
It's a difficult situation, Mike, because you're just asking for cost. I agree that it's crucial.
We're losing money by buying the lipstick on the pig.
Yep, that's your opinion.
We're deferring it back to Todd. So we should definitely write a letter back that says that what's the retainage on what's left of, what's the pay app?
Currently,
6,000?
No.
600.
Oh, 600?
636.
No, the total is the total for the pay request today.
Yeah, the retainage was like 30 grand.
Should be about, yeah.
There's more than 30 grand. They're getting 600,000 to fix. But the pay app isn't right.
let me comment on the pay app since we're in that direction. So we reached substantial completion. There's access to the bottom of the stairs. The public is using the job site. All the materials have been furnished. They are still working on some things. We will continue to work on things, as I aim to please and want to leave the job site in a good working manner. So at this point, this is a standard practice that we reduce the retainage from 5%, which is what it was at Pay App 3, to 2.5% after substantial completion. There's still some work that needs to be completed on the stairs, so we're not recommending final completion or final payment on the stairs. Still, I see it there. $78,000 we're holding back on our stair structure. And then, like Brad commented, another $30,000 in retainage. So, the balance to finish on this job, it's listed there, $132,000 approximately. So that's where we're standing for the sake of what we're withholding, standard practice.
What's the language in your spec and or our contract for like a notice of correction?
Believe at any time we can state that there's deficiency, like when we had these bolts missing, I stated that there's deficiency and, I threatened them saying, some of the stuff we can just make up, that you're no longer substantially complete. When my inspector goes up and down the job, if these things aren't reconciled, you're no longer substantially complete. The next day we'll issue them a letter and there'll be back pay made. We will withhold dollars from them. So again, I aim to please. If there's a direction you want to take, Mike, on any of these avenues, I hear you're not satisfied. Basically just prompt myself or prompt Devin. Well, it starts with Devin and then myself, and I'll see what I can do for you.
How many times is too many on the railings?
Yeah, there becomes a point once we reach final completion, right? And
3 is,
We'll wait till you're back
if they
before
can't
doing
get it, get it done after 3 times, what are
we don't
what are
pay
we
for it.
doing?
then we take their money away about that bid item.
So
And that's part of the money that's being held back from the stair completion?
Yep, we were holding back enough money to deal with that railing if it continues to be an issue.
we'd have to get somebody out here to grind the railing down, remove I'm just taking the JB weld situation. We'd have to take that apart, grind it out, weld it onto it, paint it again. And now what was the original finish on that? Was that epoxy? What kind of paint was on that?
Yeah, it's a black powder coat finish or any paint black.
We're never going to get that same finish back again. We'd have to take it out, send it
yeah, I
back to
know.
the plant and have it sandblasted and repowder coated. If we want what we asked for, what was in that spec, we're rebuilding a lot of it.
Recognizing that Brad hasn't asked his questions yet, I agree.
I have no questions to ask.
Okay, that Brad hasn't made his statements yet.
I have no statements either.
I echo Mike's concerns, and I guess this feels like a much hotter mess than it ought to be.
Mhm.
And I want to hear your opinion about what you think the source of that is. Because I think as we go forward, and Mike, to your point about future projects, to avoid this kind of scenario again where it's not going well, I think Mike has a view on what would help, but I would welcome your diagnosis of why we're here.
I do want to say one thing. We hire SGH and MSA to work on behalf of the village, not on behalf of the contractor. So they're there to represent us in this project.
For sure. And I'm not leveling.
I just
not
want to know
pointing
what
a
their
finger
role
at
is.
anyone
Yeah, I mean,
yet.
at some point, there's an Arizona emissions conversation here.
I just want to know where is this
Yeah,
happening?
Let me
'Cause it,
comment on that, Neil. So let me tell you about my observations of Pembroke companies. I've already elaborated a little bit on it's common that they jackhammer things up and redo it. So on every job I've worked on, they have removed things and replaced it. They have always left the job site in good order and have reached final completion. They've never left us out there or not completed something.
Have they ever gotten beat up this bad?
We haven't beat them up really yet, have we?
I'm asking, have they ever been held to this level of scrutiny?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I would assume, it's some job, there's engineers more scrutinizing and mean than me. Okay, I'm going to continue. So I've made that observation. They've always done what they said they were going to do, and it has never been an argument that they're going to, fix the issue. Now, I have observed that there's a project management issue with them managing their subs or lack thereof at all project management of their subs. At the last board meeting, was it April, I was here. I didn't try to work y'all up, but I alluded to some of the project management issues with Superior Iron and how they were the ones holding up this whole project. So
We know.
yeah, as Pembroke Companies is the prime, you know, we're also dealing with issues with their suppliers such as Superior Iron. I want the board to know that all of the, you know, suppliers of the stairs were vetted. I received cost estimate. I showed them the design. I asked them a series of questions, making sure they agree and have the capabilities to do what I'm asking them to do. Now, when this project was being bid, did I have a phone call, conference call with them and make sure they knew every single one of my discrepancies or vagueness, or make sure they charged us enough money? No, I didn't comment. But before they were even included in my project manual, which is their spec, what they have to follow, I vetted them, make sure they could do this for us. So a note about that. So there was 2 suppliers that bid on our stairway job. There was a company called CMI, who I've been working with for a while, and their bid on the stairs was $500,000 more than Superior Iron. And if we had to work with them on that project, I don't know if this project would have continued. So that could be an issue there, right? They are trying to cut corners because they're trying to make up $500,000 from the next bidder. So that is something that we factor in when we open bids. I give you my recommendation. My recommendation, I have no reserves working with Pembroke Companies. They have always done what they're saying. Yeah, they struggled. They have some deficiencies, but they're also enabling us to do this job.
How is $500,000 our problem, though?
Well,
They said they can do it.
I'm not saying it's a
something.
problem, I'm giving it for context of why could this be an issue? And the issue is that, yeah, we work with the lowest bidder. There are other contractors that the village has hired currently. There could be the same issue that we're having tonight with the lowest
So
bidder.
the issues I brought up have nothing to do with Superior Iron. The schedule was Superior Iron's problem. The product that was delivered was great. The problem is the installation. Okay, the labor they've extended, band-aiding it, probably could have just been extended to do it right the first time. I don't have any sympathy in what you just said.
I'm not looking to
if-
give
for
excuse.
another-
I want to give you my observations
Yeah,
of that.
another
so you know
50,000 in
where we're at.
labor. What was the delta in pricing
The delta in pricing.
between Pembers and the next number?
It was more than $500,000.
Okay, that sounds like, that's not a Superior, well, maybe it was a Superior Iron thing. This is a Pember installation problem.
Yep, some of your concerns are, and we're gonna reconcile them, Mike.
I guess the reason I asked that question is because I didn't necessarily hear in your comments, Drew, where you think it broke down. Because that's what I'm interested in. Not in a punitive way necessarily, but in understanding, like, did Pember just not pay attention? Did Pember hire bad subcontractors? Did we not direct enough and by we, I mean you and the village collectively, did we not direct enough?
I have not observed any failure on behalf of the staff or even the board. You know, I would be biased saying that I don't make failure, of course, but the stakeholders on the behalf of the owner, you know, we have progress meeting with them. And from my first acknowledgement that the original contract timeline was not being met, you know, I have touch base meeting with them weekly, see where we're at. Now, I believe I told you this, but that was one of my observations is the lack of project management within our general contractor. So, you know, MSA and the owner, we can't manage the subcontractors. It's, in this situation, Pember's responsibility.
So that comment makes me pretty sympathetic to Mike's view that if there are subcontractors who are not doing the railing right, American Fence, right? They've tried 3 times and they've been screwing it up. The responsibility from our perspective for making sure they do it right is Pember. And so that makes me very sympathetic with Mike's position that we shouldn't pay him a nickel because there are subcontractors that they're responsible to run and manage. aren't doing the work, and they are the pain point for us, right?
We only have a contract with one person.
Remember, right?
I could care less beyond that. I don't have any contractual obligation with
What I said
anybody else.
last month. Yep.
Yeah.
2 months ago.
I have no recourse. I have no control. I have nothing.
Exactly. We have no
They said they
oversight.
could do the job. They should do the job at the price rate that we have accurately. That's what it comes down to.
Does anyone on the board want to offer a motion on the pay application?
I don't think, I'm going to reiterate what I said. It's not 600,000 in corrections. It's not, I feel like there's more than 100. I don't know that we can, do we have an option to make our own modification to the pay app?
Yep, if I support your recommendation, like let's say today you're not satisfied with the fence and you don't want to make this $39,200 payment of the fence. I'll do some quick math here and then we will agree and recommend that amount of the payout. Then, this paperwork will be updated and you'll basically authorize Devin to sign based on half of a certain amount. Of course, yes, I believe member companies would entertain that. I can't speak on their behalf.
I'm not willing to offer any motion at all.
I don't want to give them a cent.
I mean, I don't want to make an example out of somebody, but we need to.
This is
Sorry.
an engineering comment that I've been making since Angela on every one of them. It's, even when SEH let the project, that wasn't vetted out for design. I mean, that's just more exposure.
Right.
I could argue we're not in a position here to value what the corrections are going to be to get it to the plan and specs that we.
Yeah, that could be my role as directed by you, possibly.
Yeah. So again, I don't think it's 600 or whatever the balance is. It's more than 100 though. So I don't.
If we didn't pay the fence and our leftover retainage is 130, that'll leave us 136 out, 160, 165 left to pay if you took the fence out, roughly.
Would it be, I guess, to Mike, if I were to work on Mike's point for a little bit, if we were to ask Drew to go through the punch list, the concerns that have been raised, and identify the monetary value of those delinquencies, and then he could come back, and to your point, that would land us somewhere between. Would that be a more scientific way to do it?
Sure.
And then we don't make a motion tonight. We ask Drew to come back at the next meeting with that number. I'm making stuff up.
Yeah,
It doesn't sound bad.
just making stuff
What I
up.
was trying to
But
say. With that, so the outstanding, so the motion would be not, the recommendation not to be paying anything tonight, is it? I'm just trying to get my head around what's.
in my mind, it would be, we're not gonna approve this. Drew's gonna go back, look at the work that remains to be done, and comes to the board with a modified recommendation for what to pay. For the work that has been completed to standard and is acceptable, we will pay you for that. We will not pay you for work that is not.
The punch list is supposed to be done on the 15th though.
Yeah, per our contract. Yeah, and I haven't received any feedback saying your timeline's unfair or any squabble, so it would stand.
Okay.
This ain't getting done by the 15th.
That's what I'm
6 days.
thinking. I'm thinking this is not
It's
gonna
already
get
set
done. on-
precedence of Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Are they gonna run into the contractual end date for us? Can you help me understand how this winds
It
down?
will for sure.
And what happens when that happens?
As our contract reads, after June 15th, we'll set a meeting with the owner, myself, and member companies will review the site. If we find it's not finally complete, all the things on the punch list are not been addressed, then it's, liquidated damages per day until it is addressed. And that basically just comes off the top of our contract, that amount. So,
And how much is that per day? Did we
yeah, we decide.
3,000.
decide?
3,000.
3,000.
Hey, again, we're not contractors. For all we know, he's got 1,000 people available in extra fence. He could get it done in 6 days.
Yeah, well, we'll pay then.
Yeah, we'll pay then. And just,
We don't have a noise ordinance in town, right? I mean, they can work at night. Maybe we just won't enforce it.
I'm hearing the position.
Falls will drown it out.
Thanks for compromise.
It
Yeah,
sounds
then
like
you
we might have a
security.
gap in service at that time.
Yeah, if they're there
So
overnight,
it'll be
then we have
fine.
security.
Yeah, we have security, so.
Too soon, Nicole.
I don't think so.
I hear the position you're in. If you don't want to take action, you'll just need to provide reason to Devin, and he'll have to send myself a letter.
Yeah, it's a 3-word memo. It's not done.
Does not need plan inspec.
No, thank you.
Exactly.
I'm just letting you guys know, you know,
Drew, I
What
feel like
needs to
Devin's
happen?
heard enough. He's gonna write you a letter. What I'd like to see happen is, I think you've heard enough. You get the tone. I would love to see one really, really good punch list that is super complete. Doesn't leave anything for interpretation. And it should reference plan and spec. So like if, you know, if the JB well didn't meet it, find a plan and spec that says, or spec item that says why that's not approved. I envision this thing being 50 pages long. And I think we're at that point. Because it's a picture, it's a note, and it's a very detailed why it's not in compliance. And
okay, you want us to be more thorough. We want to be all encompassing and reference the plan and spec. Yeah, we'll. do
yeah,
it
because
for
I
you,
think
Mike.
we're at a point where he's not understanding what you're telling him.
Maybe he needs to be at one of these meetings.
We can invite him.
So you're not holding all the brunt of it.
I don't
Yes.
believe he's doing that, Mike.
More.
Okay, enough items on this. Next item, let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you clear on what the direction is then? There's no board action here, other than you now are going to write a
Just write
letter.
a memo that says we're not paying you. So
Great. Okay.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Al.
Appreciate it.
I'll draft that and I'll have it sent out tomorrow. I'll send it out to Drew.
Okay, moving on. 6E, conditional use permit for construction of an accessory structure.
Yeah, Josh Tyler at 706 Kent Street applied for a conditional use permit to build a garage on his lot that he owns behind his house. Last week, there was a public hearing for this. He is building a garage that is in excess of 400 square feet, so it requires a conditional use permit. He currently owns both lots that are both this lot and this lot. This is a lot where he plans to build the garage. It meets all setbacks of where he's going to build it. The only condition that we applied to, or the planning commission recommended, was that he meets all village code in order to build it, to accept the conditional use permit. The big one for it is that he has to combine the lots once it is approved, and we will not issue a building permit until the lots are combined, because that is something that has to be done in order to build the garage.
Otherwise, it's not an accessory structure.
So in order to stay accessory, it has to be a secondary use structure on the property, which in this case it would be. It meets all village code. Otherwise, other stuff that they have to be aware of is making sure the driveway outing cutout is wide enough to handle. The county and the city staff, village staff are currently working on who actually owns the vacated alley to the north. We're handling that one right now, going through it. Apparently, there was a recorded alley vacation in '98 that the county, for some reason, was never brought to the county. So we're working on that one internally and making sure everything is up to date on that. But Planning Commission recommended that this conditional use permit be approved on the conditions that all village codes are met, and that was formally approved or voted to recommendation by a vote of 6-0. And staff agrees with the Planning Commission recommendation and recommends approval of conditional use permit subject to compliance with all applicable village codes and permitting requirements at the time of the permit issuance.
I came up with one other one that I forgot to bring up that day. Do we have any kind of an ordinance that talks about affecting drainage?
Only if you disturb more than an acre.
Okay, because where he's gonna put that is the lowest spot. And I'm gonna guess he's gonna want to raise it, which is then gonna push water onto the adjacent lot.
Yeah, there's no requirement for drainage plans unless you disturb more than an acre.
I don't know that there's any other houses around there. It's just, it's gonna,
It's gonna flow right to the vacated road or the driveway.
it's gonna keep going to the south, or excuse me, northeast, which I don't think there's any more houses. It's one of those topics that I saw Dresser had that problem where somebody built something and it pushed a bunch of water into the neighbor's yard and caused a huge issue. This is broaching that topic. We might want to think about that later because it could happen on less than an acre. Otherwise, it's
Be
a
an
great,
opportunity to change the code a bit.
yeah. And if you're taking care of the alley, that was the only other concern in the planning commission meeting. Otherwise, everybody was excited to see somebody build something and use the lot because it's pretty much unusable beyond that.
Anybody else have any questions on this CUP? I'll entertain a motion to approve it with existing conditions.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the CUP as proposed with conditions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. 6F, Resolution 2612 for accepting the compliance maintenance report.
Yeah, Rick gets to talk about this exciting news.
I trust everybody read it, memorized it.
A lot of info.
There's a lot, and they make it due, they open it at the end of April and make it due at the end of June, so it's like, do it in January, guys, like.
When there's
so
nothing
much
else
going on. So, compliance maintenance report, self-reported assessment measures compliance with the wastewater permit. The wastewater plant scored a in all sections except for the influent loading section, which is scored a B. Throughout, most importantly, we maintain a high quality effluent throughout the entire year. Wastewater is a tricky thing where you cannot control the quality or the quantity of water that you are taking in, but you have to control the water that you're putting out. So, like I said in the memo, most importantly, the high effluent quality was maintained. However, the likely due to a undersized digester, we were returning sludge at some points throughout the year and affected the loading. So nothing to really write home about on that. It just shows up in the report.
There's his A and then there was his B.
Yep. All the A's and one B.
One B.
Try harder
We
next
report
time, I
hard,
guess.
work hard. Well, I mean, it is something that we're
Report
chasing
better
down.
about
We're currently we currently have a higher loading, so we're chasing it down right now, actually. So
We appreciate the work. I know it's a short turnaround.
thank you.
We need a motion to
Yeah,
accept this.
To
I'm
adopt,
gonna
To
make
accept
a-
the resolution.
Yeah.
adopt the resolution.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2612.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2612. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say no. Motion carries
Thank you.
6-0.
Good job.
We'll get it filed.
6G,
When's the last time
school,
we had 12 resolutions in a year?
school resource office.
And busy.
Office, school resource office. MOU with Osceola School District.
I guess, yeah, AJ met with Becky over at the school and went over with how the SRO program is going. Both has seen this as a successful program between the two parties, and we wish to continue on with the SRO program next year. The MOU does renew automatically, but we're just looking for a board motion tonight to approve it and to recognize the work that's been done.
Do we get to ask them to help us with the car now?
I could certainly bring it up, but I don't know how receptive they're gonna be to it.
Oh, about as receptive as we are about our budget? That much?
They actually have a bigger budget than we do, considering it's 45 to 50% of your property taxes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that they do set aside $3,000 for SRO costs. I mean, certainly not
For equipment and maintenance, yeah.
the scope of a half of the vehicle, but like we discussed last time, modeling St. Croix Falls' program, we would just provide Officer Tremblay with the oldest squad in the fleet as we cycle cars.
We could revisit the whole letting them have like a smaller vehicle.
Considering
Like
the
a golf
oldest in the
cart?
Fleet is probably not great.
2017 in
Yeah.
Suburban?
Yeah.
2015.
But how many hours are on it?
Actually, Not that many. I think it's
was
got
Ron.
low mileage.
It was Ron
All have
Scott.
low mileage.
That was the admin special.
Yeah, he damn near ran me down on the road one day. So, literally, outside my driveway. Ooh, that was fast.
Do we have anything that, like when we relook at, wages and stuff, do we have anything in here that they'll help with that, like 3% or anything like
They
that?
cover 75% of the wage of per year.
Okay, just in general.
It's a pretty good deal already. It just,
Yeah,
I was just
Yeah.
curious on that.
Yeah, so
I'm fine with renewing it. I think it's a good thing for the community. So,
well, I think we've heard before that that's, if something's gonna happen, it's where the highest density population is, right?
The schools?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a daily basis, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Do we have 6 student incidents or something last month?
Yeah, somewhere around there. And I mean, they range from anything from.
They're not all bad.
truancies, you know, I mean.
Yeah, they're not all bad. Like if he
A lot of it's
participates.
high school drama, you know.
Yeah, if he participates in an event, that's an incident. So,
It does help too with our officers' time that this officer deals strictly with the truancies too. Otherwise, it gets absorbed by the full department.
Yeah.
And which are very timely
and
cases.
it's a lot of time. Yeah.
We looking for a,
Motion to renew.
yes, made.
Second.
Neil beat you, I think. Sorry.
Did.
We have a motion and a second to renew this MOU. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you hanging around.
You bet.
Okay, 6H, pay request for the Heritage Committee.
When the Heritage Committee was created and we adopted the committee as a formal committee, their process for submitting that pay requests were to go back to the village board. So tonight in front of you is two pay requests for their consultations. These are not paid to the person that consulted with, it's to the group. So give back to the community for providing the information for these. Tonight, if these are approved, they'll be looking for a motion to make a payment of $1,200, assuming there's going to be a third one, allowing me to pay the third one too, because there will be a third consultation that we get an invoice for. And I would recommend that we use the existing remaining 2023 CIP dollars for this.
So moved.
Second,
We have a
he can
quick
have
little
it.
discussion.
It's okay.
I
Just trying to get.
I didn't get a chance to look this over, and I remember the discussion on why the Heritage Committee got made. And it was over the controversial conversation about the statue downtown. And I see that they're working on the Gristmill Park, and, we've hired some cultural experts. My view on it is the history and the culture doesn't have a date, and it's not exclusive to one heritage background. In fact, the Gristmill Park was the Kent brothers, right? I don't believe they were other than Anglo-Saxon immigrants, maybe. And I'm curious where the path that this Heritage Committee is going down, and why we focused on spending money down one path, and why that costs money.
I don't think the Kent brothers are available for hire at the moment.
No, but there's other historians that are available.
I know they're working with
They are
Osceola.
yeah.
They're working with Osceola.
I'm throwing the first flag up, is all I'm saying.
And when they have their full thing written up, they'll bring it back here for approval too.
Yeah, they're planning on a pretty in-depth presentation for their first sign that's gonna go
For
down.
250
with the
words,
balls.
right? Drew?
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna.
250 words is amount of words that folks can actually read in one standing.
Yeah.
If it gets longer than that, I mean.
Lose
Yeah.
interest.
I
Yeah.
want to hear about Seal Niedermeyer and how much she loved.
I,
the
that's
sports
gonna be there
program
too,
in town.
for sure. Yep, and what was the
She's the one that
original
commissioned
town
the
name?
Indian. What's that?
What was the
Oh, the original
town
name? Yeah, before, was it Kent Town?
Oh,
Right.
Leroy.
Oh, our town,
Yeah,
yeah, it was
Was it really?
Leroy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I won
We're not
Osceola
going
trivia night
back.
one night, so I don't know.
Yeah.
The non-Osceola person won Osceola trivia one night.
Yeah,
just a heads
Leroy
up on
was the
that.
original town name. Yep.
I'm done with my discussion.
We have a motion on the floor for the approval of this 2 plus a third expected payment. Excuse me. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. Carried. 6-0. 6I, process for new board member.
Yeah, Van on May 18th decided to resign from being a village board member. With his vacancy, with that, there's now a vacancy on this board. So I'm looking for direction how you want to go forward with filling this vacancy. In the past, we've posted an ad online on the newspaper saying, please have an application and a letter of interest done by this date. And then the board has interviewed them and selected the board member from that. I would recommend we go down the same process again. It's worked in the past. You've found people who are interested versus going to a special election or just straight up appointment. I think that is probably the best option to go forward.
Could we wait till November?
Well, I want to keep in mind, currently you have 6 people.
Oh, I get it.
Good to have a 7.
I know. In the couple years I've been here now, I think last meeting was the only time there was ever a real banter back and forth. It always seems like there was.
Yeah, I'm not worried too much about a stalemate. I mean, if there's a topic that I want to recuse, I can choose to not vote, and then that'll leave us with 5. So
I guess my larger concern has been committees, since we are working to reinvest in those, and quorum. Occasionally, we get close to having a quorum, and so that's more where my mind went. Was I think getting someone would ensure better that the board would be able to do business on the monthly basis.
when was Van's term up?
It'll be up in April, so whoever you appoint.
He would have been on the ballot in
they will
April.
have to run in April.
Okay,
So it's a short.
it's almost done.
Yeah.
It's just a little one.
And the other reason I'm comfortable with
That's an option
appointment,
too. We can wait until the regular election.
Yeah,
So
you can wait till April.
the other reason too, I think appointing doesn't make sense is that it's not like we had a particularly contested election last
Didn't.
go around. So I don't think that there's a bunch of people that are looking to get on, in the sense that we need to give the public an opportunity to weigh in at this point. My sense would be we could make an appointment. It could go through complete the rest of.
So let me ask you this. If we do publish an ad asking for interested individuals to submit an application and a letter, do we have the choice not to select somebody after that point?
You're appointing them. You don't have to select that person.
So we're at the June meeting. We solicit, at best, it shows up in July. We talk about it. We vote in August.
And then
They show
remember,
up in
it's of
September.
September, which is 5-6 months before they'd be done.
You also could do a special meeting.
Just, yeah, a special
Oh,
meeting
sure.
on that too.
Yeah.
So it'd go a little
Because if
faster.
you want to expedite it, you could have a special meeting sometime in July.
I mean, from the group, I'll just
Bill Dan
ask,
for making it happen.
has anybody been approached?
No, but I
I-
don't.
I don't,
Special meetings
I
cost
haven't-
money.
I haven't
that
been
it's been
approached.
communicated.
I don't think it's
that
been
there's a
communicated
vacancy.
as, yeah, like
I would
public
say
wise,
no,
so no,
but-
I
so
would
no.
support doing what we've done in the past
Yeah.
and see who floats up. And like you say, we
I
don't
can-
have to pick one.
In the past, I've created a timeline, and then we've published the timeline that we've deemed.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
when
see what
is our
happens.
June meeting?
Maybe someone
The July
really
meeting?
wants it.
Or July,
would
rather?
be- Yeah, it's a late one.
It's late. Okay, good. So, I mean, we could post immediately and then ask that submitted and interested candidates are in by the 10th. Because then it could be a board action item, right?
Yeah, it's a late meeting in July, so it could work out.
That's enough.
absolutely well.
That's 3-4 weeks, so. Okay, we would need a motion to enact that.
I will make motion to post it in wherever, on newspaper or,
application.
yeah, seek application for appointment.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Nicole and a second by Arvid to follow the procedure we've done in the past.
Yeah, that was better.
That's what you said.
I know, I
heard.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. Going around the room with future agenda items and or updates, Neil? Mike?
No, I'm out of words tonight.
Okay. Myself, I have nothing. Thank you. Other than to say thank you to Van for his years of service with the board. He's been with us for like 8 years, so. Here, Tony, sorry. Anything you want to share? Anything? Welcome.
I'd like to see.
You were in the meeting.
Hey, welcome to the meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's new in town.
Sure.
How did I get here?
Yeah.
Everything looks great.
Arvid?
I already offered my thought about the failing hillside. So.
Yeah, that was good.
I would like to maybe revisit at some point, a police camera down by the falls, possibly. See if we can't do something there.
We put power on the pole there, so.
Yep,
It's gonna continue to be a problem.
yeah. And I don't
Put a
want
lot of money into that.
yeah, to see paint all over it and that. So I would love
Okay.
to see that.
I'll concur because I know something happened just last week. And I got to help out one of our officers the other day, kind of, so it was kind of cool. We could use a camera down there because it would have helped in that discussion. It had nothing to do with the vandalism though. There's other things going on.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
Okay,
That's all.
if that's it, then, I mean, nobody else has anything else? We're at 3 hours and 8 minutes here, so. Okay, we'll adjourn at 9:08.
Unless we're trying to set some record.
I'm hungry.